At CoCoTALK, we'd like to thank the patrons who sponsor our show, so our heartfelt gratitude goes out to Al Hartman, Alan Murphy, Alan Huffman, Amigos Retro Gaming, Blair Ledoux, Brendan Donahue, Brian Weasler, D. Bruce Moore, Davey Mitchell, Diego, Eric Canales, Gren Hewlett, Graham Vebke, Grant Leedy, Henry Strickland, Jason Downs, Jenna Farron, Ken Reichert, Kyle Etter, Malfunk, Michael Pitsley, Rick Hewlett, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Paul Thayer, Rob Inman, Stephen Wagner, Steve Batson, Steve Rasmussen, Terry Steen, Terry Steggy, The Backyard Shed Gang, Tom C., Tom S., Tim Lindner, and Tony C. Thank you ever so much, patrons. CoCoTALK is an unscripted live broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own and not necessarily those of the CoCoTALK show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds encouraged, sense of humor recommended. If any off-color comments were made, we're sorry.
Hi, this is Dale Lear, designer of TRS-80 Color Baseball, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
This is CoCoTALK, the only show in the world featuring David Ladd. It's time to grease your weasel and do whatever yo please'll, cause we're about to rock your 8-bit world. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of CoCoTALK Live. We're bringing you episode 203, where we will present you with some superior programming, y'all. All right, good afternoon, everybody. And we've already got a full house out there in the live chat already. So we have got Mark Bosley, Nick Marotta, Kevin Holloway, L. Curtis Boyle, Sixy, TJB Chris, David Craker, Terry Steen, Jim Rye, Tom Eric Gunderson, and Scott Cooper are all out there already. And the show has just begun. And now on to the best part of the show. Good night, everybody. All right, so, and we're back for a bonus episode.
It never gets old, does it?
Never gets old. Never
we now
gets
have
old.
the best episode, though. 203 was the best.
That was
203B is on.
That's
now 203B, yeah.
And 3B or not 3B. So we got a panel for you. We got some people here. We're going to talk about something, probably the Commodore 64. But
oh, man, wrong show. Bye.
From sunny Arizona, Paul T. Barton is with us. Hello, Paul. Thank you for being here.
Hey,
sir.
how you doing?
Good. Thanks for being here. We got our backup streamer and engineer, Mr. Mark Bosley's with us. Hello, Mark. We've got Rick Hewlett in the house. Hey, Rick.
Say, do we get scale for both episodes then?
You do. You get scale. You get scale.
Step
on the scale.
Yeah.
Step on the scale.
It's a pretty light scale. That's all.
Yeah. Step on the scale. Whatever number it says. Divide that by 0. That's what you're getting paid. And then we have the webmaster of the Glenside Color Computer Club, Eric Canales, is here. Hey, Eric, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going?
All right. This guy makes cables that provide fuzzy 80-column text. You know him as the maker of the Switch-A-Roo. Jason Reichert, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've got my visor. I've got my Diet Dr. Pepper. Let's get started.
Well, we may need a virtual David Ladd if he doesn't show up here in the next minute or two. So get your best David Ladd voice ready.
I'm excited.
Our news anchor, the guy who makes Michael Furman super duper happy with all his news, Al Curtis Boyle's here. Hello, Al Curtis. How are you?
And by super duper happy, we mean sleepy as hell.
Yeah. The host of the GameON Challenge. His name is so nice, we must say it thrice.
Stop right there.
It's none other than You see what I did there, Nick? Didn't see that one
Yes,
coming. All right.
I did not. That's
All
why I
right.
didn't react now. That's it. You've ruined it for me.
How you doing, Nick?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be here, man.
It's great to have you. He's got his sunglasses on. He's looking like should be a part of Chips or something there. But from sunny Arizona, the neighbor of Paul Barton, it's Ron Delvaux.
How's it going, everybody?
Oh, it's going, sir.
And a special how you doing up there to my neighbor.
That's it. Alan Murphy's with us. Hey, Alan.
Howdy, howdy.
The music man himself, Brian Schubring, is here. Hello, Brian.
Hello, hello, hello. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. This next guy here is known for saying,
"Oh, crikey!"
The Thunder from Down Under, Nicholas Morantes. G'day, Nick.
G'day, world.
G'day, g'day. And we have a special guest for us, somebody who's never been on the show and volunteered to come on the show, actually even asked to be on the show. So this is this is your fault, dude. But we're going to spotlight this guy here, and we're going to play This Is Your Life. On Discord, he is on there as HenryNoNick, and you say your last name is pronounced Gernhardt? Henry Gernhardt?
Yeah, Gernhardt.
Welcome to the program, Henry. How are you?
Yeah, I hope I don't regret this, but I am a glutton for punishment.
You learn quickly. You'll fit right in.
Oh, good.
And so tell us about what you did back in the day, if you were even alive when the CoCo was new, and then tell us what you're doing now in the retro.
Oh my goodness. I was, we had just come back down from the lower 48 or from Alaska when, because I did most of my growing up. I did my earliest years of my life, I remember, from the Yukon Delta of Alaska. Dad was an early adopter of technology, actually did the DeVry build of a console television set. So when we moved back to the lower 48, he gets into the computing scene, and next thing you know, I'm in first grade, and there's a original 4K CoCo 1, from vintage 1980, 1981, something like that, sitting there, and we start playing with it. That was my introduction to actually playing with computers, was that CoCo 1 with original Color Basic. Teaching myself Color Basic on it. Dad expanded it to 64K with Wolfbug, and that I taught myself 6809 assembly language around the age of 10. Never did anything useful with it, but at least I got to understand hexadecimal, binary, bit masking, how registers worked, and that's still something I still think in hex whenever I think computing stuff. I like you hand me a poke with a desk with more than 3 digits, or you hand me a poke with more than 3 digits for a byte value. I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? So, okay. But yeah, and I haven't really gone into the professional realm with computing, but as far as like doing major programming or anything, but computers have been a part of my life the whole time. We were a Tandy family. We had a Model 3 for the business computer, for Dad's business computer. Mom picked up a 4P. Mom actually worked for the computer center as the first systems engineer in Huntington, West Virginia. And our first PC clone was, I believe, it was the 3000, the AT, for the AT that they had. We never had
high end, man.
Yeah, so we were like bought into Tandy. Since then, well, of course, the PCs have happened. Things have gotten better. Over the course of years, I've learned the whole LAMP stack. I know that, I can basically write an e-commerce site from scratch these days.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I have already done it once. But I've looked at getting back into 8-bit probably about the time I started playing with actually an Arduino. And I'm sitting there looking at this Arduino, and there's all this C code, and they're pulling in libraries, and I'm like, now just hang on a minute here. Why do I have like 15K of code that I don't need? And start playing in that, and start playing with the assembler, and realize that I'm having fun with 8-bit again. And I start going and looking at what I played with in the past, and pulled up the Color Computer, and there it is on Color Computer Archive. I can play it online. I can get XRoar. I can get MAME up and running. And all of a sudden, I think the game that did it for me was, I can't remember the name of it now, but it was an old it was a cartridge game, the one where you warped between the different locations and, you know, killed the aliens before they destroyed your bases.
Project Nebula?
Starbillies or
Project Nebula.
Maybe.
It was Project Nebula. And
name.
I'm like, I remember this sound. And then Cashman, I'm like, I remember this sound.
Right.
So yeah, so it's back into that game, looking at the way the hardware is put together in a way that I never did when I was 10 years old, and just having fun with it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Henry.
Yeah.
Well, what's the significance of the Radio Shack in your screen there?
Oh, what I wanted to do was I wanted to find an actual, like, a good picture of a computer center, because that's like my computing history, is my childhood computing history is going to where Mom worked at that Radio Shack and seeing the Model 2s, playing around with the 16, you know, the big ones with the 8-inch drives. That was the one that I wanted.
Wow.
You had expensive tastes.
Oh yeah.
So what did your folks do? Your mom worked for a Radio Shack and she was an engineer. What did your dad do if he was also an early adopter of technology?
Dad wound up being the house spouse, but he did run a home business, and where we lived in a university community, he was able to basically offer word processing as a service. So
neat.
Yeah, and this is in the mid 80s, early 80s, and folks around going to Marshall, they're still tapping away on their typewriters, having to retype an entire sheet, and he's using that as a sales pitch, saying, hey, if you use word processing, I can provide this for you. And if you have errors, I can fix it. And you don't have to go through and like redo everything. And in the pre-PC era, you know, and the era when you're looking at several $1,000s just to be able to put a printer on a computer.
Right. No, that's brilliant, man. Outsourcing, you know, paying off your investment. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Neat. And so how long you've been on Discord for a while now, because we've seen you around. You're taking part in the GameON challenge now too, so that's great. So you've kind of jumped into the CoCo hobby now, both feet, right?
Pretty much. It's like I'm looking at eBay. It's like, do I really want to spend this money on this? Considering that currently I live in basically a small studio, and how am I going to set up?
Space is a premium, right?
Exactly.
Cocoa pie for the win, man. That's the most cocoa in the least amount of square inchage. It'd be the cocoa pie. So,
well, one of the thoughts is like, can I take what's there in a CoCo 1 and figure out a way to just? It's probably already been done, but you know, figure out a way to get it to bank switch between like 8K or 4K banks of RAM, so you end up with 4 megabytes on there.
I think there is. There's a 512K board that does it. The CoCo or Dragon Moo or something that does do bank switching on the CoCo 1 and 2.
The Moo and the CoCo PSG.
Okay. So yeah, cool. Well, we're glad to have you, and feel free to chime in at any time. You're going to talk with us later too when we get into our project updates. We're going to talk about CoCo development, so different ways to program on the CoCo. Which we'll also have Eric Canales will be showing off some of Eric Canales's new development tool that he's working on, and and guess what? There's a Discord channel for it too. So because we did an independent survey and determined there weren't enough channels on Discord already, so we created another one. We have also we've been joined. More people have joined us on the panel. The panel keeps getting better. Did I see a David Ladd sighting here a minute ago? We did. David Ladd, are you there?
Hello, everyone, and how is everybody doing this great and fine day?
Oh, I'm doing just fine, David Ladd, and we're very excited to have you here. We've had a few more people join us in the live chat, too, so I believe I mentioned Tom, Eric Gunderson, and Jim Rye. Dave and Sharon, that's Mr. Dave has joined us. Scott Cooper has joined us. I believe we already said hi to Frederick D. Provoncha, hello, and then Terry Steen is here. Ken Reichert is here. Canadian Retro Things is here. AC's 8-Bit Zone, and Frodo has joined us. Hello, Frodo, and Ken Reichert and Canadian Retro Things. So thanks all for joining us in the live viewing of the program. So we're here. We got things to talk about, things to cover today, and I believe we're going to go ahead and just keep the train moving. Paco Atacte is out there, and Ron Delvaux says hi on Facebook, and so yeah, it's just the warmth and communal spirit here just continues to grow. But we're going to jump into one of Nick Marotta's favorite parts of the show. And
that's the news already.
That's the part of the show where, he gets to, hog the stage for quite some time. Gets his name mentioned all the time. But more importantly, it always starts off with Ron Delvaux's favorite part of the show, and that is a CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. Ron Delvaux is a big fan. I believe you started a fan site for Samuel Gimes, didn't you?
No.
You started a Facebook group. Ron Delvaux started a Facebook group. My favorite Samuel Gimes song parodies. No? Okay, maybe I got you confused.
It's just one of those fans, metal fans without a cage around it, I think.
No.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to see what Samuel Gimes has been up to this week, and then that will feed into the GameON results. Okay, get ready. Brace yourselves, everyone, for CoCo Thoughts.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes.
I can't get nowhere in Zaxxon. I can't get nowhere in Zaxxon, 'cause I die, and I die, and I die, and I die. I can't get I can't get when I'm flying in my ship and I'm dodging the gun emplacement. They're sending me more and more than some useless radar towers supposed to drive knowledge of the powers. I can't get Oh no. Hey. Bad words I say.
Bad words I say. I like that.
I can't get nowhere in Zaxxon. I can't get nowhere in Zaxxon, 'cause I die, and I die, and I die, and I die. I can't get I can't get when I'm watching my fuel gauge and a missile comes and shows me how white my shorts won't be. But I can't understand shooting the tank, get some more jet fuel to me. I can't get Oh no. Hey. Bad words I say. I can't get nowhere in Zaxxon. I can't get robot action, 'cause I die, and I die, and I die, and I die. I can't get I can't get
Oh my!
Wow!
Woo.
Bad words I say.
Bad words I say.
I'm gonna be singing that for the rest of the week.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, isn't it funny
That
how
was good.
Your memory gets rewritten sometimes when you hear a song parody that's so good you want to rewrite the original lyrics, and that definitely does it.
That's Weird Al level right there.
That is right there. So that's awesome.
I had that Kron song stuck in my head for a couple weeks.
Kron. Yeah, that was a good one. And Frederick Provoncha says, I was planning on making the run at the high score in Zaxxon, but then my CoCo experienced a hardware problem and is currently out of commission. I'm using VCC, but that's nearly impossible playing Zaxxon with a PC mouse. All right. So
yes, it is.
Challenge accepted, right? James Diffendafer says, a song about my results in Zaxxon. And 60 says, he even spelled missile. All right. Jim Rye says, a new classic. David Lord had a hardware problem too. 60 says any nuclear missiles. And then James Difference says you cannot unhair that. Okay. Good stuff. Good times. Thank you, Samuel Gimes, for always raising the bar on that. So how about some results? The game of this week was Zaxxon. Let's see how the community did.
High Score Challenge with Nick Marotta.
All right, and welcome to another week of results. This week we played Zaxxon with
black
30
background.
Scores submitted. Boat of Car, 4,300. Gerrie M, 7,500. Ben VR Drakes, 9,500.
30 players.
Mark B, 17,900.
That's good.
Jim Wright, 20,900. CoCo Discord user, 22,700. Ken Reichard, 23,000. Just Mike, 24,900. Brian Weasler, 26,100. Digital Bytes, 26,400. Catlord, 26,600. Close race. HenryNoNick, 27,700. Sloopy, 29,800. Terry Steen, 30,200. Welcome, Tom Terry. C, 36,200. Rich N, 39,200. Joshua Craker, 41,900. R.L. and Murphy, 46,600. Canadian Retro Things, 52,800. David Ladd, 61,400. Me, 69,800. Paul Shoemaker, 71,000. Mr. Dave, 78,500.
Nice job, Mr.
Rob
Dave.
Inman, 82,500.
Inman.
Buck Owens, 84,200. David Quaker, 96,300.
Nice scores.
L. Curtis Boyle, 97,500.
Right before supper.
Guillermo, 97,700.
Just after, actually.
Diego, 117,900.
Uh-oh.
And the number one score this week belongs to Tasman.
Oh, 1, 2, 3. Now,
123,500.
what if you had got like
Great
1, 2, 3, 4,
score,
5?
great
That would have been
turnout.
really
Thank
cool,
you to
right?
everybody who
1, 2, 3,
participated.
5, 0. But yeah. Tasman. Wow. Good job,
Hey,
man.
hey.
Some great scores. A lot of participants. 30 participants. That's probably a new high for the past few weeks anyways, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think we hit a 31 on one game, but I think that was only one time. So the 30 is definitely.
So do you think it was the game or just the luck?
I think so.
Luck of people's time this week having more time.
Well, we had a couple new people join us. We had Terry Steen was new, I believe, and we had Guillermo, who was the brother of Diego. I think it was brother or a friend, or I can't remember. And so we had a couple new people.
Excellent.
And which is always great.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think it's a popular game. I mean, Zaxxon, that's another one of the top tier games for the CoCo 1 and 2.
Yeah, and one of the only, especially in the early days, official arcade ports that Radio Shack themselves sold. So it was quite popular.
So can you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
I want to say a quick hello to Chris from Belgium. Big fan of your waffles out there, Chris. All right, so
here are
Belgium,
the scores from Rainbow. Take them as you will. 2 million. I don't know.
Gosh.
Very possible. Completely possible.
But I just report the scores. I don't make them up. So there we go. That's what the score was in Rainbow.
I bet we know how he got that one.
Oh yes, actually, yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. And then there was a review. It was actually a joint review for Zaxxon and Zaxxon. And apparently this guy thought that the two games were on equal footing, and whichever one you got, it was a toss-up. I'm not sure I agree with that. I played Zaxxon a bit, and I personally think Zaxxon was far superior, but you know, that was my opinion. That's his opinion.
I think that was most people's opinion. Zaxxon, if I remember, it might have come out like a month or two before the Datasoft official one. So if you bought it as soon as it was released, you might have maybe thought differently.
But anyway, this guy thought that Zaxxon anyway was a good game and worth purchasing.
Okay.
So once again, we have a video from Canadian Retro Things, who featured the GameON challenge game on his channel.
Wrong colors, though.
Wrong colors.
Well, here's one thing I didn't like. The game did not capture the reset vector. So on a CoCo 1 or 2, and I do know CRT uses a CoCo 3, so he has no excuse. But on a CoCo 1 or 2, hitting reset, you go back to base, the OS prompt. So it did make it easy to correct colors. I don't know why that was like that, because Steve Bjork normally had the red blue check in his game.
Well, most of his stuff was, this one was originally sold on cassette though. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Only sold on cassette as far as Tandy was concerned. It was sold on disc briefly when Datasoft was directly selling it before Tandy picked it up.
And that's the other thing. There was actually R. Alan Murphy submitted a score, and he had a different banner. He had a full graphical Zaxxon banner on his title.
That would have been the Datasoft disc.
So there were definitely multiple versions of the game.
Yeah. Well, Datasoft originally announced Zaxxon for multiple platforms, and there was a 4-month span. It was January through April of 1983, I think. And they had like the Atari 400, 800 version first, and then there was the CoCo and the TI-99, and a few others in between. And they released it, and then Tandy picked it up literally within half a year, and I think that's when it changed to the different logo.
So it was interesting. During the week, Diego brought something to my attention that I had no idea about. Apparently, and I think this is a bug, but there's a feature. If you pause the game during the outer space sequence and leave it paused for like a minute or two, and then resume the game, the planes that are on the screen fly off, and that sequence is over. So you can do that right from the very beginning of the game. And
is there an official pause key, or is this like an emulation pause?
No, it's the enter key.
Enter key actually pauses.
Yep.
So if you pause the key, the planes will go away?
Well, the game freezes and switches P modes, right? So it's paused.
Okay.
And after a minute, you resume the game by hitting the space bar or whatever, and the level's over. The planes that are on the screen will just fly off, and then you're at the second fortress.
You get bonus points when you do that?
No.
No.
So I mean, you do lose scoring opportunities, but you can. But from what I understand, the people found the planes to be the more challenging part as the game progressed. So that could be a way the person got 2 million if they knew about that trick. Although I can't imagine how long that would have taken, because this isn't exactly the highest scoring game. But anyway, so that said, I believe it's a bug, probably in the way that Steve calculated the time for the level to take before the level.
Or maybe it didn't pause the timer itself. So if you had the timer kept counting even during the pause loop, so it just assumed enough time had passed.
Right.
I know one that Steve Bjork had actually mentioned that was kind of a bug was the effect on the plane screen. If you go to the bottom right, and then you get a steady firing, especially on the first few waves of them, you can actually just maul through all the planes and get your bonus every time without even getting hit.
So
Later levels, they start firing more often. All you have to do is just stay on that lower right, and as soon as you see a red bullet coming at you from the upper right, just move left to dodge it, move back, and you just keep going forever and keep getting a 1,000-point bonus.
Okay, so that would be a more plausible way to get 2 million, although I still think it would take forever. But I do know that worked the first couple levels. I didn't try it on the third, and after I would just start moving around because I didn't think it worked anymore.
Yeah, because the spacing, I don't really have any problems with. I can get through that pretty well every time. It's trying to dodge some of the planes on this screen we're looking at now. When they start firing fairly often and trying to dodge in between them to try to get fuel tanks, that's where I usually die.
Right.
But back in the day, I used to regularly get like 120 to 150,000, so can't do it anymore. But
you still got 90 or something, didn't you?
Yeah, that took a few tries though. That wasn't all in one shot.
It's a good-looking game, though.
Yeah.
It's probably...
As I mentioned last week, this is the game that when we had our everybody bring their home computers to high school type thing on a Friday night, and we'd stay in the computer lab with all the Apple IIs, and then when people would bring in Ataris and Commodore 64s and CoCos and stuff here, this was one that most of them finally admitted the CoCo actually could be a decent game machine. This video
is from Tasman, and this is near the end. This was his high score.
Yeah, they can see how much the planes are firing at this point.
Yeah, it's insane. It's an insane barrage of lasers at this point.
And that's what the colors should look like too.
Oh, leave the guy alone.
No, can't. I'm a purist, man.
I wonder if he knows about the trick on the CoCo 3 about booting up with the or
F1.
resetting with the F1 key to change the colors around.
Power on or reset with F1 will give you the alternate color set every time.
Yeah, that's a nice feature, the CoCo 3.
And I think pretty much all of Steve's stuff works in the alternate color set on the CoCo 3 correctly.
Good score. 121, 6,000. Look at that. That's insane. They're just like freaking raining bullets on you, right?
Yeah. This is only a 55. I mean, this is only the 55,000 at this point. So they started pretty early firing at you like crazy.
Yeah. Well, the plane thing, the fact that you could actually like whale through the planes thing if you just held a certain position, then you just dodge once in a while when you need it, was something that Steve Bjork actually noticed people doing when we watched people play it. So when he came out with the CoCo 3 version Z89, he actually sent those comets and stuff to come after you to make sure you wouldn't stay in the same spot because they would track right to your position. So he was forcing you to dodge. That was his way of fixing that problem from the original Zaxxon.
Right. So yeah, this was a very faithful reproduction of the game. Oh, another technique people didn't learned about is firing through the force field to make sure you can clear it.
Oh yeah.
Fire ahead of you. If your shot can go through, then you'll get through it.
Yep.
I had to use that method so frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it by the height bar on the left too. And that's also where you figure like where to shoot the Zaxxon robot. You have to be at the fourth tick from the bottom type thing. There's also on, I think, the second island where you've got the short force field on the bottom, the taller part on the top. And then on the left, coming up ahead of that, just past that, is a couple of tanks. If you go down as low as you can, firing before it starts hitting the force field, you can actually kill the tanks while flying through that gap. So you take care of them before they even become a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, and the trick there to get the best bonus is to blow up the missile while it's still attached to the Zaxxon robot.
Yeah, then you get 1,000.
Then you get a bigger bonus.
Which I think looks like a mailbox, by the way. I don't know if I'm alone in that, but I think the Zaxxon looks like a mailbox.
I always thought it looked like a mailbox.
Got a package here for you.
That missile, that was from the arcade too. The missile was to try to discourage people from just trying to hover above everything, right? So if you stayed up high, a missile would come out after you.
Yeah, because otherwise you're above the path of the bullets from both the planes and the tanks, so you would just never get shot. You just skip them.
Something that I wondered about as a kid and that I still wonder about to this day, it's like the graphic selection. Like in the explosion, every time I see an explosion, I see the number 25. And every time I see like the remnants of stuff, I see the word kiss.
Interesting.
In this game or just in general?
In this game. In this particular game.
Right there you saw it in the explosion cloud.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe it's a colorblind test too. You know how the colorblind test says you have to see the number 29? I don't know if you've ever seen that. But yeah, interesting. I can kind of see that now that you mention it.
Well,
if it's a colorblind test, I'm kind of wondering, does it work in P Mode 3?
Especially in the Puyan palette.
So yeah, this was an excellent turnout. It really resonated with the community. And like I said, I'm not surprised because when I think of the top tier CoCo 1 and 2 games, this is definitely in that list.
And this game was featured in one of the Friday the 13th movies, although the color was reversed, so there's a little bit of historical recognition going on there. If you've ever seen those YouTube videos of like CoCo in the movies and CoCo on TV, you'll see those clips where Corey Feldman was playing Zaxxon, or at least had it playing on a CoCo in the background or something. So.
Oh, and he had the red floor?
Yeah, the red floor. Yeah.
Maybe that's what Ken was going for. Maybe he was paying homage to.
It's still wrong.
Well, I appreciate Ken's videos. I don't listen.
Absolutely.
No, I'm not knocking him for that.
Yeah. Very cool.
And Tasman, thank you as well for this. You can see the full video in our Discord channel if you're interested.
Great playthrough.
Full game playthrough. Yes, I appreciate the video contributions that I receive. All right.
And the longer you make your video contribution, the more time Nick Marotta gets to talk during this segment.
Oh, absolutely. Let's watch the whole thing. Absolutely. That's a great idea, Stevie. So, unless there's any other comments, we can move on to the reveal of the next week's game.
Does anybody have any tips and tricks or stories or anything else they want to share before we move on?
You said this game was resonated with you a lot, Curtis?
Yeah, like I said, it was. We used to have these comparisons. That people would bring all their computers. We did this on Friday evenings. The school would let us stay in the computer lab till like 6 o'clock in the evening type thing. Actually, once they forgot we were there and locked us in, and we were there till 10. We didn't even notice we were locked in because there was so much fun playing everybody else's games with all the different systems. And but I mean, when I first brought the CoCo in, a lot of people were going, "This is like a toy machine," because we didn't have a lot of impressive games from Radio Shack, and at that very beginning time, I didn't know about third party, and I didn't know about officially licensed stuff. And then we started getting stuff like Donkey King and Zaxxon and a few others, and I brought them in. They said, "Actually, this machine's not bad," because it was kind of beating the crap out of the Apple version. So
yeah, this is a game that would definitely give CoCo owners bragging rights.
Another CoCoTALK, there was talk about the title where Zaxxon was actually filled out graphically instead of just.
Yeah.
So
that's
there
the
would be,
one that's the screenshot that Alan submitted, had Zaxxon in full graphics.
Right.
And Alan, you said that was the disc version, right? Which is the one that Datasoft directly sold before Tandy got it, right?
Yeah. The disc.
Cool.
Because Tandy never sold the disc version; they only sold it on cassette.
And we can thank Marty Goodman for that.
Yeah, that whole story between him and Steve—that was hilarious.
And Nick Marotta.
Yes, sir.
What are we going to do for an encore? Zaxxon was a very well-received game. It's a very popular game in the arcade. How do we top that?
I don't know. It's I don't know. I don't know how many more top tier games we have. But I'm looking for suggestions. If people want to send me a direct message with a game suggestion, I'd love to hear it, because I'm going by what I played back in the day. But that's only, there's a lot of games I haven't seen yet either. So
Well, we haven't seen Nightmare Highway on there yet, I don't think, have we?
Oh yeah, we have.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we did? Oh, okay.
That's the last episode. We don't show that anywhere because it's so shameful.
Have we remembered David Ladd's favorite game on the CoCo 3?
Predator. That will literally be the last game we do. When we're tired of the segment and want to kill it, it'll be Predator.
That's the shark. that game will be the shark, and once we do it, we have jumped the shark. So
that's right.
Really.
All right. So we ready to talk about next week's game?
Oh, I can't wait, Nick Marotta.
All right.
You're gonna have to share again because I stopped your sharing. So.
Oh. Okay. Am I gone?
You're not sharing it. You have to just share again. That's all.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
All right. Am I sharing?
You're sharing.
Yes.
We see Zaxxon.
Okay, great. All right. So the next week's game will be
Danger Ranger.
Danger Ranger by Ken Kalish.
Ranger. Yes.
Ooh, good game. Good game. Good choice.
Yes. So Ken Kalish game. There's two screens on this one. That one. And that one, and this screen, you're basically collecting the keys, and if you get to the bottom without collecting the keys, you have to go on the elevator, which brings you back up to the top,
and then they all fire like mad.
Yeah. So basically, get the keys on the way down is easier, and then the second level, you're avoiding. You have to get those things.
Yeah, get the treasure boxes, shoot the masks, dodge the acid drops, which if you shoot, they disappear and restart from their spawn spot, which is either the top or the bottom.
So,
and it picks up quickly.
Yes. If you go back to that first screen, Nick, at the beginning level here, you just have the bats, and then you get those roving eyes on the side that come after you. But later on, you get roving eyes that go back and forth. In the middle, you get more than one bat per
and
level.
They shoot lasers at you from side to side, and
you can shoot the roving eyes, and they fall down. They flame. They smoke.
They flame out. Yeah, and you get a bit of a pause, which is very handy later.
Freaking laser beams.
So there was a few requests in the live chat too. So we had a request for Dungeons of Daggerath from Scott Cooper Tasman. Mikey requested Color Scripts It, and then Terry Steen requested Touch Tomb.
I've got Terry Steen's in the list because he requested that in Discord.
Okay.
Script Set is always on the list. Absolutely.
I thought we already did Color Script Set.
Daggerath is tough just because there's no score in it, but we can figure that out because it really is a classic game on the CoCo. So maybe
the furthest you can get in a single playthrough or something without saving or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because that would be a shame to rule that out just because it's not score based, because it really is a classic game.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's our game for next week. And thank you, Stevie. Thank you for the fantastic participation, guys. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Whoever's keyboarding, you're doing a very fine job of that. All right. So we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll be back with Michael Furman's favorite part of the show, Snoozy Newsy. And then we got project updates and acquisitions. We got some talking about programming and development tools and all kinds of stuff today on CoCoTALK after these words, but everyone's favorite assistant, Fletcher, is up next.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Fletcher, I don't need that report tomorrow.
Great, JT.
I need it tonight. But JT...
Fletcher saved $300 on her office away from the office. Radio Shack's revolutionary Model 100 computer. It's a word processor, phone directory, and dialer. It even communicates with the office computer.
Fletcher, how's that report? Fletcher.
Radio Shack's Model 100. Save $300 and put it to work.
You'll go far, Fletcher. You'll go far.
And now, CoCo Thoughts by Samuel Gimes. On holidays, Uncle JT would entertain us with stories of his business conquests and his assistant who would meet any deadline that he imposed, no matter how ridiculous. Well, until she shot him in the face, that is.
Hi, this is the award-winning Alan Huffman of Subetha Software, and you're watching Stevie Fall Off Cliffs.
What's going on, guys? Stevie Stroh here, and I want to say thank you so much for being part of this adventure with us. It's been such a great experience in doing CoCoTALK every week, and the support we get is just amazing. And so the fact that you watch and listen is all the reward that we need. However, if you would like to become a patron of the show and offer some financial assistance towards the production and hosting costs of the show, we do have a Patreon site available for that, and you can reach that by going to our website at CoCoTalk.live and clicking on the Patreon link. But just do us a favor and watch and listen to the show.
Hey there, I'm Marco Roser, and you're watching CoCoTALK.
This is not the Joey cereal switch. This is the Joey cereal switch. Control up to 3 cereal devices. Order yours today at cocoman.biz.
Radio Shack, America's technology store.
Right! This Christmas, Tandy has a very special offer. A family color computer pack to take away at a very special price. This family computer comes complete with software and costs an incredible $449, a saving of $241.69. It's powerful, educational, and ideal for the young and young at heart. The easy way to start computing. The Color Computer Family Pack from Tandy. Get it while it's hot. Tandy, the biggest electronic store in Australia.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tim. Playing Dagger like that idiot from the book. You're watching CoCoTALK.
From around the world, what you need to know. Get caught up on News with L. Curtis Boyle.
And now a Muppet News Flash.
All right, our foreign correspondent, L. Curtis Boyle.
Hello. Okay, so first up, we'll do the GameON news to kind of continue on from the game segment we just completed there. And the first one up is Jim Gerrie's got a few things to mention. So the first one here is called Third World War, originally written by Mike Rose in his 1984 book, Creating Political and Military Simulation Games on Your Micro. So pretty heady stuff.
Commander of NATO forces in Europe at the outbreak of the war. If either side penetrates, hate it when that happens. Display sector situation. Give movement orders. This already seems extremely cerebral. Oh, look at it. You got your resources, tanks, guns, field guns, missile launchers.
Yeah, it's basically a simulation style
yeah.
game.
Oh, show. Oh, well, you're not playing, so I was gonna say press the show the map. Oh, there we go. There's the map. Oh, I like that. That's cool.
Oh, Stevie always likes the pictures. You know?
I do.
Yeah.
All that reading. I'm surprised he read that much.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One more picture there for you. Can't see that, but
I like it.
I mean, if you're into war simulations, and that was one thing that CoCo was quite popular at. There was a couple companies that sold nothing but them, like Arc Royal Software, which had literally dozens and dozens of war simulation games.
Yeah.
Kind of like the old Avalon Hill board games used to get.
Right.
Maybe you still can.
Explorer VR has joined us. Hello, Ben. Aaron says that looks hard. Bazooka.
Yes, and this is Jim's almost weekly entry into the 10-liner contest, basic programming contest that we mentioned a few times before. That's currently ongoing multi-platform. So this one's called Bazooka, inspired by a Sinclair user magazine game by A.S. Gale from 1982. And I will play that.
Bazooka. Bazooka. Oh, you are trying to shoot. Who are you? So
you're the person on the left, and you're trying to shoot the tank.
Okay.
Now, he can plow through trees, I think, which is what those are. But you can't.
Yeah, I was confused on who was who. Okay. So those are trees.
Or walls or something. But anyway, the tank can go through them. Your shots
Right.
on that, basically.
And he's a one hit.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not bad for a little 10-liner.
No, not at all.
Program 10 lines of basic code. That's all.
Absolutely.
And then next up, he's announced that he's made some adjustments to Caves of the Unwashed Heathen. Now, this is a game that was originally written for the CoCo 1 and 2 by, was that Paul Shoemaker?
Paul Shoemaker, yes.
Yeah, I believe so. And then Jim had ported it a while ago to the MC10. Well, now he's got a version specifically for the MCX32 SD, which I don't know if he's added more of this stuff because he had to kind of strip the game down a little bit to get it to fit.
Okay.
So now that he has access to basically almost a virtual disk drive type thing, that
nice.
It might actually be the full game again. So if you're interested, that's available on the Facebook MC10 group. You can just go and download it and put it on your MC10.
Or where the sun don't shine. Ooh, I like this. Looks like Erico has been busy.
Yeah, so this is his street fighting game. He's been kind of teasing us with little bits and pieces here. So this is actually multiple screens together and kind of shows how the layout goes.
Yeah, it looks panoramic at this point, right? So,
and of course, we've seen his animations with these characters. I mean, considering he's using 64x32 that actually has color bleed every set of 4 pixels, it's pretty amazing what he's been able to do, the effects he gets. It looks very, very promising.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Next up, we have LRU's Outrageous Gaming Project, which is a channel that does a lot of retro gaming for all kinds of systems, and he's been doing some Dragon stuff lately. Now he's been doing some CoCo stuff too. And he does long plays, so he actually tries to get decent scores, or tries to go through the levels, etc. So he's got a few here, including Nick's Donut Dilemma, for example. And he does a few others here. Storm Arrows is one. I don't think we've done that in the challenge yet, have we, Nick?
No.
So that's one I wouldn't mind seeing at some point.
All right.
Make sure you get your checks in.
Then your Tim Horton gift cards, too.
Yeah, this way I can publicly shame him into playing my games. So.
Yeah, we'll talk more after the show, Curtis. Yeah. No, that sounds good.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to be right up there. It's just it's the only Targ clone I think we had for the CoCo. So. And then Cuthbert Dragon's been busy doing some more of his long plays too. So he's got Screaming Abdabs, where he plays 14 screens of that. That's kind of a Manic Miner style game.
Wow.
Boris the Bold, which is when we've shown before. The King is Donkey King. Demon Seed, of course. Now, have you guys seen Shaft before? This was by Prickly Pear. It was one of their few arcade games.
I think I saw the one that Samuel L. Jackson did a remake of in the early 2000s.
Shaft.
Yeah.
It has absolutely nothing to do with that movie at all.
Shut your mouth.
My favorite line from that movie, "It is my duty to please that booty." All right, anyways, as you were saying, Curtis.
Yeah, so this is a game by Prickly Pear. Now, Prickly Pear was known for doing a lot of adventure-style games or simulation-style games like Gangbusters and Horoscopes and Urland and Viking and all these other types. They didn't do too many of the arcade-style games. This was one of them. And it's not one that was hugely popular even in the CoCo scene back then. So it's one I didn't see until later years. I didn't see this back when it first came out. So I don't know how many of you have seen it. Did you want to see a...
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's see if Samuel L. Jackson's in this one.
So there's the dragon.
I love the artwork. Okay. This is
you got
one.
those elevator
this is
shafts
one
going
where
up and down. You have to dodge across, eat the dots, and then once you get to the sides, the elevator comes and picks you up and takes you to the next floor.
Yeah. Kind of, sort of like elevator action, a little bit.
A little bit. It's kind of like loosely based on it.
Yeah, this is one where the cover definitely looks better than the book. If I had to guess, this looks like this is probably basic compiled or something.
No, I think it actually was ML.
Okay.
It does get pretty fast. I know I
Okay.
have played it since, and it gets pretty quick. I should mention the Dragon version's using PMO 3. The CoCo version used PMO 4 artifacting.
Okay. No, it's pretty cool. You get the idea. It's one of those easy
Yeah, and for a
easy
games
to
company
grasp type of games, right?
Yeah, and for a games company that wasn't known for doing arcade games at all, I mean, it was nice they actually did make a stab at one and made it semi-original.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an interesting one.
Yeah, that is.
Next up, we have MacDougal's Last Stand by Rob's Retro Rambles, and of course, he's got his hilarious
This is the
presentation
lava
style.
lamp guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably mention too that a lot of times when we're doing the news, we have somebody posting the links for us, but our link posters are unavailable today. So if you want the links to any of these, they'll be available in our Discord server. Is it news summaries when it's done?
Yes, the news summaries channel.
There'll be a channel under the CoCoTALK heading called News Summaries, and it's going to just be a text file that will have the description and all the links to all of these. So rather than muddying up the feed with links and descriptions, you guys can grab them from Discord. MacDougal's Last Stand. Okay, is this like the Scottish version of Custard?
I don't know, but I really like the fact that there's a robot with bagpipes.
Yeah. All
That's not something you see every day.
Blabby computer games. All right, so you're going to show us a little
I think
tease?
he took his bagpipes. I think that's the piper running away.
This is MacDougal's Last Stand. Yeah, it's another one of those ones. When you see it, you go, I have to play that, don't I? There's not going to be any other game like that before or since. There's never going to be a PS4 remake of MacDougal's Last Stand, is there?
PS4
No matter what it's like.
Yeah, the remastered edition.
Yeah.
Right?
So here we are, good old Blaby computer games. Let me just zoom in on that temperature.
And that's their load screen on the cassette that actually loads it up so you see this while you're loading.
Okay, and so
fancy and slightly iridescent, wibbly wobbly with the interference, and they do like that high res effect, making
it looked kind of yellow, but that should have been like a P-mode white background, right?
Yeah.
I like the use of wibbly wobbly.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
We'll publish MacDougal's Last Stand. We'll just send us anything. Skill level hard or impossible.
Hard or impossible? Those are your choices, huh?
Joystick ports around, because I don't want to be using.
No beginners here.
Hang on a minute.
There's no Stevie mode.
Right hand. Is that when you're looking at it? Oh,
Was secretly programmed by Nick Marotta?
A decent joystick to start with, and try my luck. Hard. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll go with hard then. Oh, I better zoom in, hadn't I? While I remember. Wave bye bye to the pretty lights. Say hello to eye-wrenching colours.
Eye-wrenching. Okay.
There
that
we
looks
go.
good.
Okay.
Hard or impossible?
I always say that, don't I? And then I fiddle a bit more.
Fiddle your bits.
About there.
Okay.
About there. Right. What's this going to be like?
Well, fast forward to the gameplay.
It's going to be nothing else on earth, isn't it?
Okay, just yellow background.
Right. Which one am I? The one that just died. I appear to be.
Is he the frog that looks like a strawberry or a ladybug?
With legs. No, that's the big one then. That's the big nasty. Oh, heck.
What is the object? To pick things up?
Yeah, you can shoot the red ones. And you have to open those bagpipes.
Oh, is that what that? Okay, I was trying to figure out what the hell that was.
He was too.
Right.
Yeah.
Or perhaps a beret.
That's the bagpipe, eh?
Oh, and they shoot too.
Perhaps a beret.
I can only fire sideways.
The shooting
That's
bagpipes.
a bit of a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, the shooting sideways only is kind of like Tutankhamun from the arcade. It's
oh, blaby.
Interesting.
Blaby.
Okay.
But his witty banter while going is what really makes his videos. He's hilarious.
I believe
and he does call it a what did he call it? Some sort
I
of.
think we'll stick with
You're a
hard,
cross of a strawberry and a frog. Or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
kind of what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay, there's the bagpipe. Yeah, I want to say this one was compiled because I was doing the
this one
circles
looks
and
like a
stuff.
basic style.
Yeah.
Blue and yellow.
Hey, what's going on, Alexander? How are you?
Okay, so we don't have to complete one screen each. We can just each time we just have to.
And then that seals it off.
Okay, well that's not good there, is it? Ah, gotcha, yes, Sassenach.
What did he call that?
Assassinag.
That's a new one.
Now the bad guys can jump over walls.
Some can.
Well,
You can shoot through them too, though. So
why am I at
Shoot him.
It's kind of like a red frog thing, or possibly. Well, I'm dead.
And you
now,
can't
aren't I?
shoot that guy, right?
No.
Could also be.
All right, I've seen enough. Interesting game. Interesting game.
And a funny review.
Yes.
Okay, this next one here is kind of for Frodo, because he's a big fan of the Spectrum, of course, being his first machine. So this is a channel I've not seen before, Finnish retro game comparison blog from Finland.
Okay.
I don't know if it's anybody we know or not. But they put up a comparison video of both Hungry Horace and Horace Goes Skiing, so two of the ones with the Horace theme. And he's comparing the game on both games on three different platforms. The original ZX Spectrum version, then the Commodore 64 version, and the Dragon 3264 version. So you actually get to see the gameplay of all of them not side by side, but in order between them, showing you what they look like on the different platforms, which is pretty cool.
60 says that he called him a Sassenach, which is how the Scots refer to Englishmen, and that's generally not referred to as a compliment. All right. Poseidon Software with Melbourne House presents Hungry Horace. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the ZX Spectrum version, which is the original. Both of these games actually came out on the Spectrum. Now, like Cuthbert was to the Dragon, I'm thinking Horace must have been to the Spectrum, kind of their mascot, because he appeared in multiple titles.
So how do we say this word now? Sassenach? Is that the word? Because I want to start using that on you guys quite frequently. So you Sassenachs. I've got a panel full of Sassenachs here.
Oh, boy.
Now look at these colors. See, this looks good. Even on a white background, this looks good.
Yeah.
High resolution. Okay, so that's kind of like the Pac-Man Power Pill, right? So they change.
Yeah,
shape.
and the Spectrum, your things had to be the same. Otherwise, you got that same color. Otherwise, you had that color clash where the colors kind of overlap. So they actually designed the graphics to be each character's a single color, so that it doesn't have that problem.
Right. And it worked out well. It's a good-looking game.
Yeah. And then we got the Commodore 64 version.
Boo! Oh, we have a Sid chip. Let's show off.
If this were a Commodore show, you'd be the Sid chip's the best chip ever.
Okay, not bad. Not bad for a Commodore game.
And they have Maze Editor in there and stuff.
Okay, cool. Ooh.
That.
Hungry Horace. This looks like this is a VDG right here, right?
Yeah, this is the Dragon. Now this is actually the graphic loading screen while you're loading it off cassette.
Oh, okay.
I'm glad that's not gameplay.
Yeah, one frame every 30 seconds.
Rabbit.
Hungry Horace.
And this is, they must have been using the standard cassette routine because they've since discovered you can actually load code and run it while it's still loading so that you can actually have it draw like this stuff a lot faster. Or play music in the background like Simon did recently. So,
press a key. Okay, not terrible. And this is, well, I like the animation of the bad guys. They're kind of like wavy, wobbly dudes.
That wavy wobbly again.
Yeah. And the speckles. Sound effects nowhere near as good as either version, though.
Yeah.
So they did choose the white background mode, which matched the original.
The original Spectrum run, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of dithering there on the maze.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there's any PAL colors in this.
That's a good question. I don't know if 60 might be able to answer that. I'm not sure if it does, because this looks like definitely an emulator, not a real machine.
Yeah.
So. Then we'll go on to Horace Goes Skiing.
Sinclair. Ooh, look at that. I like it.
That's their loading screen.
Yeah. And now much faster, too. Hello.
Well, they're text tile based.
Right.
I think they redefined the text characters.
True. Now, this sound effect I could do without. Okay. Oh, Is this like Horace plays Frogger?
Yep.
Horace...
Go get your skis, then you go skiing.
Ah, okay.
Like the software truck, too.
Where the hell is he? Okay.
Yeah,
so it's a game of Frogger that then becomes a game of skiing.
Yeah, it's like a twofer.
Okay. And whatever you do not crash into that tree. Okay.
Yeah, and you have to try to go between the poles.
Through the slaloms there. Okay, cool.
Watch out for that tree. Doo-doo.
Yeah, cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good mix of getting two, basically getting two arcade games for the price of one.
Frogger and skiing mixed into one, huh? And Frodo's saying the Frogger part is extremely difficult. It's like trying to get a sub at CoCo Fest.
Yeah, I remember when I did the gameplay to get the screenshots for the games page there, and the Frogger part is difficult. That's not kidding.
Okay, and then 60's saying the Spectrum games tended to load the high-res loading screen blankly and then pull in the color information that revealed it quickly, so it's not that fast. Okay. But that could have also been tile-based graphics, whereas just text characters, which would have taken less. Okay, Commodore 64. Okay, let's see what did they do with their SID chip here. Ooh. Horace goes skiing on the Commodore 64. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, obviously a little bit better color here. Single color sprites. Ouch. Oh, you got a little... That's cute. The little medevac.
Ambulance.
Yeah, the ambulance. I imagine that would get annoying after
Reminds
the
me of Mud Pies, where
time.
the stretcher comes up for you, too.
Okay, so he just made it in, and now he's got to...
He's got his skis. He's got to go back to the... Yeah.
Come on, you can do it. Oh, damn it. I was rooting for you, dude.
You think this resort would be set up better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we brought out the wambulance.
Get your skis. All right, he's got his skis. Come on, Horace, you can do it. You can do it, Horace.
Just call an Uber.
I believe in you, Horace. Yeah, these things are moving fast and they're changing lanes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bit different than Frogger, the changing lanes part.
Yeah. I'm calling shenanigans on that one. Yay! He did it. Okay, now now he's already in ski mode. You're immediately in ski mode. With the annoying white noise in the background.
Did the Spectrum have an analog joystick?
Did the Spectrum have... I don't know what the Spectrum had. Anybody know?
Frodo can answer that.
Yeah. Okay.
And Frodo mentions, wow, the C64 version cheats. You can stand still on that one. Apparently you can't.
Okay, so let's do the last one. Let's do the CoCo version. Dragon 3264. Okay, look. See, here's the loading. So I wouldn't say this is cheat loading. This is not cheat
all
loading.
1,500 baud.
Horace goes somewhere. He's going
Wait for it.
He's going skung. He's going skung. Horace is going skung. Oh no! Oh, skiing. Okay.
Now, with all the advancements we've been doing with cassette loading lately, here, this could be done in like a second.
Ooh,
yes. I can load this in 3/10 of a second now.
Ooh. You just woke up, David. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mission accomplished.
My high-speed cassette.
And this is one where this particular palette actually works quite well.
Yes, for the skiing, which is what ours was too. The cartridge, Tandy cartridge. Oh, see, they got the music here. 4 voice.
Yeah. Joystick or keyboard controls, your choice.
All right, come on. Let's see the Frogger. Come on. Let's go. Frogger. Frog it up, man. Okay. They did a pretty good job on recreating the single color sprite characters pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did add some sound effects like
that crash sound was pretty good.
The road, and it throws your body out, a little bit of violence.
Not bad.
Now, unfortunately, the trucks don't actually say software. That was my one disappointment.
Okay, so he's got his skis. Okay, that was pretty quick getting across. All right, now this is a little bit slower of all the versions, but okay, but it does give you time to turn.
Well, you can control your speed somewhat too. I mean, on all the versions.
Okay. I was gonna say, but this gives you time to line up your shots too for your aiming. No, this is good though. This is good. I like this. This looks good.
Yeah, the hills look better too.
So this is a skiing Frogger hybrid game.
Yeah,
not a bad. Two games you would not think people would want to put
go
together. It's like you got your chocolate and my peanut butter, and then there's the finish line. Fin. If this was a French film, I would say fin. Okay, look at that. Cool. Neat. I like that. I like that comparison of platforms too. Same game.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd like to see some more of these. We've done a few like a year or two ago. There was one guy that was doing like every version of official Pac-Man, every version of Zaxxon.
Yeah.
But some of these more obscure ones that were for not the top tier computers, like the C64s and that type of thing, but get some of the ones that were a bit more underground, like the Dragon, the CoCo, the Spectrum, etc.
Yeah.
And doing comparison videos of games that were unique to them and didn't, necessarily get to all the big platforms like the PC or whatever. I'd like to see some more of those.
Yeah, so Horace is like the Specky's Cuthbert, and I think Cuthbert is a better looking character especially when you look on those micro deal things, the little kid with the striped shirt, But cool, very cool.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I've never seen that channel before. I've never heard of the Finnish group. I don't know if Frodo has or not, but it was pretty interesting to find them. Okay, next up, this is we've had the Nick Marotta Ego Challenge version of stuff here earlier on with the GameON stuff, but now we've got the Nick Marotta's version. So Melanie Swalwell, who is an author, is writing a book called Homebrew Gaming and the Beginnings of Vernacular. That's not the full title. Vernacular Digitality.
Okay.
This is a mouthful. Which is a book about the early creation of games from the 8-bit era in the late 1970s to the early 1980s, and it's done from the Australian New Zealand perspective. So it's talking to authors and games that were produced in that area of the world.
So they had to have interviewed Nick Marotta.
Yes.
Yes, so he gets.
Well, you might recognize some of this background art once I zoom it up over here. This is the official launch cover here.
That is a TRS-80 graph paper thing there. Yeah.
That's the actual graph paper I used for the TRS-80 Model 1 version of Donut Dilemma.
Ah.
So it made the front cover.
Look at that. Look at that. So basically there would be you being the only Australian game developer in the world. It was really easy to nail down all the authors, right? So,
wow. I thought this particular exhibit was on loan from the Nick
Craig
Marotta's
Stewart's going to be so pissed.
How many Australian guys did you find? We got all of them. We got Nick Marotta's.
Both of them.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Congratulations, Nick. That's awesome.
Hey.
Great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So the book will become available August the 17th in both paper and electronic formats.
Does that mean your price to be on the show goes up now, Nick, since you're...
I'm a star now. I was interviewed for this for 8 years ago.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Yeah, so it's taken a while to research everything in the book.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
it took
it
that
has
long
interviews.
to find anyone else.
It has interviews and archival research into how the games are created and stuff. And Nick actually ended up being her main case study.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, my special case.
You're like the Hannibal Lecter of game design.
Is there a cream or something for digitality?
I think she made up that word. That's a new one on me. So
yeah, I haven't heard that one either.
Have your donut dilemma with some fava beans.
She discussed public discourses surrounding microcomputers, program home computers, the development of game creators' idea like donut dilemma is a case study, wider practice art of hardware hacking with homebrew game beginnings. That's cool. I'm looking forward to this.
So this person is actually a professor at the university. It's not just some enthusiast writing a fan book.
Right.
It's actually a proper historical
somebody who's actually
reference.
educated.
Yeah.
This could be like on the CoCo Fest call for papers. Right?
It's sort of up to that level, I guess. I haven't seen the book
1, 2,
yet.
3.
Okay. Cool.
But
Cool.
yeah, this started
$35. If I mention your name, do I get a discount?
Offer code. You mentioned the electronic version
Crikey.
is $21 for Kindle, etc.
No, I want a real copy.
You say $21 for Kindle?
Yeah.
I
don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah.
And it's actually been endorsed by some other professors that have reviewed the book as it was being developed too. So
it's fairly
very nice.
Like associate arts professor of the NYU Game Center, which I didn't even know was an existing thing.
Well, this person I think's written a few other books. I think if you scroll down the bottom, so there's a few others which I've never seen,
Wizards,
but they're into more serious whatever
analysis. It's not just a history type thing. It's getting into the core of Like, I mean, since you actually got interviewed, I mean, were you going into like how did you design things? What tools did you use? What exactly does it?
A bit, yeah. I don't know what she's written in the book, but yeah, I was questioned at length about how I created all the games and why and all that. So
we're still trying to figure that latter question out.
For the money, did it for the money?
Why? I like Ferraris.
Yeah, fortune and glory. Fortune and glory.
There you go. So
mostly, I think it's the fame and the money.
Yeah, that's right.
And the
amazing
girls.
what $50 will get you, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, it's for the Ferraris, isn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations, Nick.
That's great.
Yeah, so she's the professor of digital media heritage.
That is super cool.
In Melbourne, Australia. So
yeah,
awesome, dude. We know.
So are you going to invite her on to the show?
We should. We should.
Well,
yeah, Nick, if you want to try to contact her to do it before, maybe you do as a book promo like we did with Glenn Dahlgren. She'd come on and kind of promote the book.
Maybe, yeah.
That would be cool.
Oh well,
but she gave you a big shout out up here on the.
Yeah,
NickMarentes.com. Plug your website. There you go. The cover
mentioned
artwork
the cover artwork features
of,
Nick Marotta's level designs for Donut Dilemma.
Which is a case study. Yeah, so that way people go to your website, they can see all your new games too. So boom.
Wonder what she thinks of CoCoTALk.
More money, more money, more money.
He knows it exists.
Yeah, cool. So send me that, send me that link to her Twitter account too. So we'll reach out to her from the show, see if we can get her on as a, like I said, a good cross promotion when the book's released.
Yeah, and it worked pretty well for Glenn, from what I understood. So
yeah, I think he sold 3 copies, and very cool. That is awesome. That is really awesome. I'm really happy for you, Nick. Very proud of you.
All right, thanks.
That's awesome.
Kind of get another Ferrari out of this.
Yeah.
Does it kind of make us respect them a little bit?
I wouldn't, reach that far.
Let's not go overboard.
Push your luck.
You may want to change, the intro where we say, even though David Ladd is, the big thing. But,
the talk
Nick
show
is kind
featuring
of pushing him over a little bit.
Nick Marotta, famous Australian game
featuring
designer.
a guy who's even more famous than David Ladd.
We're really looking for someone to hitch our wagon to.
Yeah.
That's cool. See what the word vernacular
You have coattails, we're going to ride them. That's what I'm saying.
That's right.
If you've never owned a book with the word vernacular in it,
Well,
here's your
isn't
opportunity.
that? Don't you get a vernacular when you don't want to have kids anymore?
I thought a vernacular was those.
I just about did a take with my coffee there. Thanks.
Vernacular digitality does sound a little impolite somehow.
Yeah, that's not something you repeat in polite society that often. So. Maybe I thought it was pretty cool. Nick pointed out that she put it up on Twitter, and the fact that they've got a release date now of August the 17th. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is super
and you can
cool.
get it for Kindle, etc. It's going to be available in all kinds of electronic, or the hardcover is $35.
Yeah, I want to get a hardcover so I can get an autograph from Nick Marotta.
And I'm assuming, I don't know if those prices are Australian or...
I think they're Australian.
Oh, so it'd be like $3 American.
Yeah, like $2.50.
$1.25. Yeah,
$2.50 and a side of fries.
$20 shipping.
I was surprised I got my game on the
on the cover,
on the front cover. So I don't know what's inside.
Yeah, it's all downhill from there. So,
yeah, probably this is it, the cover.
Yeah, on the inside, I'll say, as you've seen from the cover, this game is complete drivel, and no.
That's awesome.
Now they mainly cover my TRS-80 Model 1. Most of the questions when I was interviewed was about the Model 1 era. So really early years. So there wasn't much talk about my CoCo stuff, although she does mention my latest stuff, but most of the real talk was about the Model 1.
Yeah, because they're trying to get the pioneering aspects of it.
Yeah.
People were making their own games from scratch in their basements.
Yeah, and what was that other one where it was a game developers conference where a guy was talking about games, and he mentioned Donut Dilemma for TRS-80, saying it's probably one of the single best Donkey Kong type games on that system of that time. I mean, another high praise from somebody who's somebody.
Yeah, that was from a modern day developer going through the history of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's definitely the best game with killer donuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. The official Tim Hortons game might rival that. I'm not sure, but
well, that's cool. We have a true superstar in our midst there.
True celebrity.
We actually did have quite a few game programmers in Australia in the early years. And you remember the game it came out on the PC a bit later, Commander Keen.
Oh yeah, that was a popular series.
That guy's also apparently in the same city as I am. I've never met the guy.
Oh, that's
but
cool.
I think there's a big section about him in there too. He did a lot of other games as well, but I remember Commander Keen was a pretty breakthrough game for the early days.
Yeah,
of the
that's
PC.
back in like the EGA gaming days, where you had like these 16 color games that were competing with like Nintendo style like platformers and stuff. And then, that was a cool era of PC gaming.
So he's in it there as well. So I'm not the only star in the book.
Right, you're our star.
But you got the cover.
You're the brightest
I
star.
got the cover.
Yes.
I beat him. That's
you're
right.
the brightest star in our universe, Nick. So,
hey Nick, wait till she finds out your support of EOU, and she'll start another book.
I did mention that.
Yeah, the trash can could have made the cover.
That's the back cover.
Well, the trash can serves a double purpose because it's a great looking icon, of course, and it also describes the operating system in general, right?
Absolutely.
I didn't say that.
You're leading the witness.
That's it. Asparagus. No, that's cool. That is really, really cool.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing and I'll switch over to the regular news. There's not a ton in there, so.
Well, Michael Furman will be disappointed.
That's why we're ganging it up here, so he has a bit of snooze time.
Congratulations, Nick Marotta. Very proud of you,
Thanks
sir.
a lot. Yep.
Ooh, Tano Dragon unboxing. Ooh.
Yeah. Now this is an old video. This guy reposted it, but it's not one I'd seen before. And I think the original one was done way back in like 2013 or something. So before CoCoTALK even existed. So it's actually a pretty good one because this is back when California Digital had all the surplus ones when Tano shut down. And were selling them for years and years.
Yeah.
So it came with bundled software, a bunch of like CC Writer, and a bunch of basic games. It was all basic stuff actually, which was surprising. But it was basically to show you that if you learn BASIC, you could write some pretty decent code. In fact, the instructions even tell you, like, this was written by a 14-year-old in New Hampshire or something like that. And it had like a word processor done in BASIC and a couple of games done in BASIC and some other stuff too. So he goes through the whole unboxing thing here too.
Who's the channel or person?
Well, the guy who did the post here is Ivan Rodellas Garcia, but that's not who did the original video.
Oh, okay.
And he's got comments turned off probably because this is kind of stolen from somebody else's site. But I'd never seen it before. So.
Oh, well, that's kind of...
Unused since 1984. And here's some of the specifications. Advanced 6809 microprocessor, that's by Motorola. 64K RAM, extended Microsoft Basic, professional quality keyboard. And it is a very good keyboard. You get a basic manual, 9
Fast forward to
display.
the actual unboxing part of it. We know what's inside it. Oh, a home VHF set.
An RF switch box.
Yeah. I've got one of these still in the box
an
too.
RCA
the
cable for the RF.
Never opened it?
Connection.
No, never opened it.
A cassette cable, which is compatible with the TRS-80 series. So that plugs into the computer, the DIN jack, and then you get earphone, remote, and microphone connections.
Mine had
And you
styrofoam
also get
stuck to
a
it too.
cassette with the included software, so you have to supply your own cassette.
Okay,
recorder,
Mikey's
but
saying
they do
sounds
give
like
you
V West
the
Life,
cable
who I don't know.
and
But,
tape.
Yeah, I know it's not his, but I'd never seen it before,
So-
so I just wanted to bring it up.
Fast forward a little bit more.
It's the same program, except in reverse order.
My cassette
I
label
will
was
mention
light
the one
blue.
interesting thing here, and I did not realize this: the bundled software that comes on it. It's a double-sided cassette with the exact same programs on both sides.
So
it's
you
not
can just
new
like
ones.
go to the end and then flip it over and do it again.
Yeah, but they're reversed on the other side, so you don't have to fast forward or rewind quite as much. So it starts with Gold Dig and ends on CC Writer on this side. On the other side, it starts with CC Writer and ends with Gold Dig, so that if you wanted to get to the program faster.
Oh, interesting.
Well, and more importantly, if there was a bad spot on the tape, it occurred on two different programs, right?
Yeah, so you'd still have your backup copy. On the
So
other
it's good
Ah,
on one side on one and good on the other side on the other one.
If you look at that label quick, it looks like licensed to Tandy.
Licensed to Tano, but it does look like
Yeah,
Tandy
yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, TAN. Yeah, it looks like that. Yeah. Old dot matrix printer. There's your.
So it kind of goes through the ports. And of course,
Yeah.
the Dragon 64 had both the real serial port and the real parallel port, which is something that CoCo never did get.
Yeah, one of these days I'll get mine fired up. I ordered the AV cable for it.
The checklist, final packaging specification. So this may be just copied from the
That's
British.
the copy of the original Dragon basic manual.
Okay.
Which I didn't realize had fold-out
I'll have to look
pages
through
too.
it
It
and
was
see if
not
they
just straight
write
pages. There was
color
little
for you
cardboard
in it.
fold-outs.
No,
that
no,
came
it's
out.
a British manual. Yep, there you go. Definitely the British. Very solid feeling.
Yeah, good sounding.
Still one of the better keyboards.
Box label had the word color as the way we spell it.
Right, because this is the U.S. version of it, the Tano Dragon.
And of course, access to 32K. So if I do print mem here,
and I had composite.
It says
I think
the tape is CC writer. I guess this is using only 30. Screen as you use this program has no relation to how it's going to look when you print it out, especially since this computer can't do lowercase, so lowercase shows up as inverse video.
He wasn't too impressed with the word processor until he broke out of it and found it was written in BASIC, and he was kind of surprised by that. And the games are very simple.
Obvious exits north or south.
Text adventure.
North.
Yeah. This actually wasn't a bad text adventure. This was commercial for a while in the early 80s. Rainbow, Charles Forsyth used to sell through the Programmers Guild, which was his company. He also did Pack Droids and a few other games too. Ninja Warriors, Ninja Warriors, another one he did. And the rest of them are just basically basic games that people contributed to Tano for free, basically to throw on.
Get one
he loaded a CoCo game here, but then because of the way the keyboard's mapped,
the controls don't make any sense because the Dragon uses different scan codes than the color computer.
Okay.
So
that's cool.
Moves the ship.
Oh yeah, there's the,
it's kind of interesting bit of
AV
history
cables. Does it come with AV cables out of the box? Because if it did, I bought shit I didn't need. So I ordered.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Okay. All right, cool.
I think it came with the RF and the RF cable, not the RF box.
Because I had actually ordered mine from somewhere in the UK, the Dragon AV cable kit. Cool, very cool.
Next up, Fred Provoncha has put up a new video. We talked about on a previous show that he's doing this thing on the CoCo where you can read the ICS calendar files that iCal and a bunch of other things use.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an update video. Showing that he can download a calendar file to the CoCo over DriveWire, directly off the net, and then run it through the filter program. And he's actually going to have it setting alarms based on that if you want. So if you have a certain appointment or something you want to grab off somebody's calendar, you can actually have the CoCo sit there and beep at you and let you know. I won't play the whole video here. You can. It's almost 10 minutes long, but go check it out on Facebook.
Very, very cool. There's the other posting of that. Yeah, DriveWire is a great conduit to get stuff into your CoCo without having to worry about getting the Wi-Fi modems and all that kind of stuff. So.
Or having to do sneakernet with your SD card.
Yeah,
on the
Switch-A-Roo cable for my Tandy Color Computer 3. Is this Canadian Retro things?
You betcha.
Okay.
So he actually does the full comparison. This is his, and he's shooting this with his camera right on the TV screen on the monitor type thing. So this is composite video out from the CoCo. Composite, whatever you want to call it.
Composite colors.
Composting, whatever. Yeah.
RGB signal out of the Switch-A-Roo. So we're doing it this way. Now this is low-res graphics. And
then he goes through the text comparisons, like 32 column, 40 column.
When you
just still pretty readable. And then you get 80 column, and it's
now this is composite here.
This is composite. The 80 column mode.
Yeah. In composite. Oh, so that's the before Switch-A-Roo. Everything we just saw there. Okay.
Yeah. And here he mentioned, I think a few people mentioned, Jason can pipe in this too, that you have to get a decent converter. There are some converters out there to do crap.
Yeah, yeah. And this
you have to be careful that you're getting a SCART to HDMI converter that does RGB, because there's a lot of very inexpensive ones, very cheap ones that only do composite.
Yeah, and that doesn't give you any benefit at all.
No benefit whatsoever, right.
So here he is showing the extremely complex procedure of plugging the one cable into the bottom of the CoCo.
27 easy to follow steps.
That's it.
And hooking it up to the computer.
You got to plug in the composite feed.
I like when he first tried it out there, he forgot to plug in something.
Yeah, he forgot to plug the monitor into it.
Yeah, that's what it was. Started, nothing. Oh, I forgot to plug my HDMI cable in. That was... Yeah.
Now look how clean that is. See, that is super clean.
So here you are, that same screen that was all fuzzy.
Yeah, look how clean that is.
Now, any of the patterns you see are because he's using his video camera.
Yeah, like the moire patterns you
don't
see
see
in the background there.
That's
Not what you see. using it live. That's just because of the scan.
I see those all the time. That's why I take medication. 32 column mode.
It's part of that color blindness we were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm colorblind. What was that?
I can't hear a thing without my glasses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is 80 column mode. Look at that. Look at that. It's not even fuzzy at all.
Yeah.
Wow. Imagine
I know
that.
there was some discussion on Facebook that if you have the direct RGB to VGA solution like that Cloud9 was selling,
Well,
Alan
it's not,
Huffman.
that's not direct, though. It's an adapter. It's an
Yeah.
FPGA adapter. The direct, there's actually, you can do a direct cable that's passive that you do the 15 kilohertz VGA, RGB to VGA.
And my understanding is the quality on that is a little bit better than even the SCART solution, but it's also not available right now, and it's, I think, a fair bit more expensive, and it doesn't work with every retro system. It'd be unique to the CoCo, wouldn't it?
Well, that particular one. So yeah, the CoCo provides RGB, analog RGB signaling, and I am not a hardware guy at all, but I did save a bunch of money on car insurance. But Jason Reichard has made for me a handful of cables to convert things from one format to another that were all passive cables. So Jason made a cable for me that I could plug my CoCo 3 into my Commodore 1084p monitor, whatever the hell it's called. And he made another one where I could plug my Tandy 1000 into that too. So if you understand how RGB works and what the voltages are and blah, 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 all electronic talks, you can just do it with straight through cables, assuming that there's, both systems support some flavor of analog RGB. Now in this case here, with this is RGB to SCART, and SCART is also analog RGB, and then that box converts SCART to HDMI, which becomes digital RGB, right? So that's why we need that extra box in the middle. But the discussion that came up on Facebook, somebody was asking the question, what's the best way to get, RGB or VGA out from your CoCo or whatever? And Alan Huffman brought up a product that existed in 2016 that hasn't existed since then, but he said that that's his favorite way to look at 80 columns, and that's fine. But I don't think anybody's had a problem with 80 columns on the Switch-A-Roo.
No, it's very readable, and this is not exactly the best color choice you'd want to pick for 80 columns, whether you're on RGB analog, like a real RGB analog monitor, or if you're on VGA or anything else. I mean, there's black on a bright green is not the easiest to read to begin with.
Yeah, but no, it's there's lots of ways to do it, and this is definitely one of them.
And then the toggle switch is a nice feature about this one too, because here he is playing it in Biscuit. This is coming out in RGB mode, so you're getting just straight black and white, which is what the mode originally was supposed to be. And of course, we've got artifact colors on NTSC. And if Jason wants to give the technical explanation, I think you're tapping the composite signal or something. Or...
Right. What's happening with that SCART converter box is for your video sync, it's actually expecting a composite sync signal compared to the separated vertical and horizontal sync signals on the CoCo 3 RGB port. So instead of building an additional circuit for a sync combiner or something like that, what I went ahead and did was just use the composite sync that was already on the back of the CoCo 3. And so it uses that for the sync on RGB, but the advantage to that is if you want to tell the SCART converter box, instead of look at the RGB pins, just look at the composite signal, you flip the toggle switch, and that's how, and then you are looking at that straight composite signal, and that's how you're getting the artifact colors.
Now, the F1 key still works for setting between the two different artifact
on
colors?
The CoCo 3.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, on the CoCo 3, absolutely. Yep. No difference. You're just looking at that straight composite signal with really no changes other than just being converted to the HDMI, just like the RGB signal was.
And that's another thing. I mean, talking about the VGA solution that Alan was talking about, is that VGA is starting to go on the wane right now. I mean, a lot of TVs don't even come with VGA connectors anymore. They're just straight HDMI, and that's it. And
right.
I think even
and the real multi-sync monitors are kind of going away as well. You're
the ones that handle the 15 kilohertz or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. You're supposed to do all your conversion before it gets to the monitor, and boom.
So I think personally, my personal opinion on this, and I'll make that disclaimer, it's my opinion, is that the HDMI is a bit more future-proof using something that converts to HDMI, because that is where the TV market is going, and VGA is starting to slowly disappear.
Now, that being said, if you have a VGA monitor already, then a VGA solution is right up your alley. And honestly, like I have the CoCo VGA, And I when I use it most of the time, I plug it through a capture device to look at it on my computer. But sometimes there is some nice analog elegance to looking at these things on the CRTs with the analog output as the good Lord intended them. And so looking at that CoCo VGA on a VGA CRT monitor, it looks really cool. It's very that true classic feel that you like from a CRT.
And to be honest, I mean, my CoCo in my other room here, I still have my Magnavox analog CRT on it. I don't have any of the fancy stuff on it.
Yeah. So, when you ask what's the best way, I hate whenever you want to say the best, because there are multiple ways to do this.
Well, it's the best for the person that's asking the question.
So best is relative, right? But the Switch-A-Roo is a great solution. There are other solutions, various passive cables you could create. And then there are honestly, when the Gimme X comes out, that's going to be probably one of the best ways to get good VGA.
I can vouch for that.
Right. Because
here we go, flipping the switch.
Boom.
And there's your artifact colors.
There's your artifact colors. Look at that. Picture in picture. What a professional video producer this guy is.
Yeah, that's why he's not on the show too often, because he's way past us as far as professional production. So
I think this is my new favorite video on YouTube right now.
Oh, really? Somebody's getting a Skype call. Mayday. Cool. Good job there, Canadian Retro Things.
Yeah, so it's good. It's really good because it shows you exactly what it does, compares what the original output looked like versus what it looks like now going through the SCART. It goes through how the switch works, etc.
Right. And
I've converter box.
And I've asked this question before. Maybe some of you hardware gurus could chime in, but I always wonder, why is it that when people are making these projects, and this is what we have to realize too. Let's keep things in perspective. Number one, if somebody's out there creating a solution at all, we obviously should be grateful these things exist, right? So you don't want to take away from that. The fact that there are people making products and solutions and upgrades and doohickeys from us, that's great, right? But I always ask myself, okay, well, why is it that the keyboard adapters that have existed in the past were only PS2? Why, PS2 is old. Why aren't they doing USB? And then why is it that we have these things that only output VGA? VGA is old. Why aren't we doing HDMI? And then I've heard some technical explanations why. Number one, I've heard to put HDMI on a product, you have to license HDMI. Yeah. But what if you bought the HDMI header? Isn't that already licensed anyways? Or no, if you just buy the header, it's not licensed, right? But you can buy a Raspberry Pi for next to nothing with HDMI that is licensed. So I don't understand why there can't be an affordable HDMI doohickey we could buy for projects. And, so that part I don't understand, but I do understand licensing, and you obviously want to respect that. And then I've also asked the questions why don't we have HDMI? And then you also hear that, the HDMI overhead to run it and the human interface device and all the stuff that's needed is much more advanced than what the CoCo could do. So then you need a microcontroller and you need this and you need that. It's not as simple as just putting the port on a circuit board. So I kind of sort of understand that, but I'm also a fan of, if we're going to make a modern upgrade for a retro system, it should be as modern as possible for what we can adapt it to. HDMI to me seems to make sense, and USB makes more sense than PS2. But again, I'm naive in the logistics and the practicality of buying the parts and producing it and all that other kind of stuff, So.
Well, VGA can be interfaced with nothing more than just a few resistors and analog output. That makes VGA very, very easy on the makerspace.
Okay.
And it's just an easier implementation. And when you're looking at something like HDMI, you've got to be running they tried it on the Pi Zero, if I recall correctly, and they were overclocking the Pi Zero to generate an HDMI signal. And the native clock rate on the Pi Zero is 133 megahertz. You got to be moving things really darn quick. You got to be pushing bits really quick. Same thing with, not exactly the same thing with PS2. With PS2 versus USB, PS2 is an easier protocol to manage than USB is.
Right.
So you can, it's just, for the makerspace and for the individual people, what can I implement quickly, easily, cheaply, and what's easy for me to implement? What do I not have to worry about?
Right. Now, I get all that. Right. And there are adapters for all of these things. So I have a $13 box I bought on Amazon that converts VGA to HDMI, and it's $13 to buy that adapter. But that had to have been licensed. So I'm just thinking, if they spend an extra $13, again, somebody's mentioning here, Torsten saying that these companies that they can do it in volume. So if they're producing a lot of things, they can buy the license, more affordably. But yeah, so I have done that. So obviously you can get a PS2 to USB adapter. You can get a VGA to HDMI adapter, which I have done, and I do. But I would love a modern device. Again, not knowing the challenges in doing it. It'd be great to say, here's this widget you plug into a cartridge slot, and you can plug in USB keyboard and mice. You can plug in HDMI. 21st century called. We answered. Hello. Right. So, so that would be cool. But I get it sort of. So, but good job, CRT. Thank you.
Excellent.
Next
Simon
up-
Jonason, the madman.
Yep. So he's working on another CoCo 3 demo. So he's got some a rolling text effect here that he's doing.
Look at that. Simon Jonason is insane. He's the madman. Now, is that blue line, is that scan lines just showing how much CPU is being used to do that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly correct.
So the more blue, the more CPU?
Yes.
Probably. And look at how rock stable that is.
Mm-hmm.
Because generally, if you're not
generally
doing-
it flickers a little bit as as different tasks are happening while you're doing or different computations.
Oh, so you're talking about the stable of the blue line itself, like it's not fluctuating at all. So that's just a constant CPU level.
And you also notice there, I don't know how well it's showing up in the streamer, but there's like some grays in there too. So he's actually anti-aliasing.
Oh,
the
yes,
texture
I
as well,
see that, yes.
which gives it a bit of a smoother effect than if you just did pure white.
Right. That's cool, Simon.
And speaking of graphical text.
Graphical text.
This is from Todd Wallace, who of course did our CJ font for Nitrous 9.
Yes.
Thank you, Todd.
Yes.
But now he's throwing in for you disc basic people that have been missing having this type of a font or having some of these effects that you can do there too.
So I've been writing my own.
I'll play the whole thing because it's less than 2 minutes.
Text font library that lets you print
Is that loud enough?
text to the
that's
screen
fine.
Using custom fonts. Very similar to how Nitrous 9 does it. And I thought I tried to.
Is this CoCo 3 only, where it's changing the hardware fonts or into a graphic mode or something?
It's changing the ROM font, basically.
Okay, the ROM font, because ROM is in RAM at this point.
Yeah.
First, you load the library.
Now, you've been able to replace that font all along, but he's done some optimization.
Basic demo program, which.
Hey, check out my cool graphics text library.
Nothing too fancy, but you'll notice that I use semicolons so that the cursor won't go to a new line automatically. And I've also deliberately put some extra prints in there to do new lines. And you can kind of see in the comments what the little exec commands are for. Eventually, I'd like to make calling those things a little more user-friendly, but for now, check it out.
Hey, that's an IBM CGA font. That is pretty cool, man. And this is in BASIC. See, we don't need no stinking Nitrous 9. Hi, Lord.
Only go to the other window to show you. Oh, never mind.
Just hit clear, and the screen will actually clear.
Work in progress, but just having some fun.
That's neat. That is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, I remember back in the old days, because a lot of people made the fonts, but the original BASIC only has 128 characters in its ROM. But we had lots of replacements. We had a Mac font. We had, it was a bunch of them, Old English, etc. So, but he's done some optimizations to actually make it print faster, because that basic routine was not the quickest thing for printing. So I think he's done some additional work besides just here's the new font.
Cool. So that would be like on the H screen. That's not a graphic screen. That's the hardware text screen, right? So if
it's H screen. The original one simulates the Gimes hardware font pixel for pixel, but it's on the graphic screen like H screen 2 or H screen 4 or whatever. So,
and this is one of our Brazilian friends.
Yeah, so we actually featured him last week when he was covering one of the other CoCo style clones here. So this is a different one. This is the Codemex CD6809. And once again, it's.
I'll be happy to translate for you. Every time I hear a near English sounding word, I'll repeat it for you. In full English.
Anyway, he goes through a bit of the history. I'm thinking he's going through a bit of history. I don't have a clue. You can kind of see a zoom up here. It's actually got a power light. I don't know if that was stock. One strange thing is that the brake key was actually labeled as escape.
Ah, okay.
That's a little bit different. Clear key is still labeled as clear, though.
The brake key is not red?
Nope,
How are we
it's
supposed
white.
to find it?
There's one of the ads for it with disk drives and the screen and the printer with the famous James Diffendafer hat.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And then there was a mention, this is from a magazine in Brazil that actually did mention it down on the bottom. You can see Kodak
Okay.
CD 6809. It's Nolan Bushnell on there.
Yeah.
Totally unrelated to that. But there's its
Comodex.
logo, which actually had full, broad colors on it.
Yeah, look at that. Nice manual. That looks like a Model 1 screen almost, that TV thing there, right? Then we got some program samples.
Yep.
Complete from a line printer.
Some little explanation stuff. Here you can see clearly the escape
Yeah,
key.
yeah. I like the arrow
And
key
return
right there.
instead of
Look
enter.
at that down arrow. It looks like they just relabeled a tab key. It's like- we don't need
That
no
might
stinking
very well
tab
be
key,
true.
right? So we'll just paint an arrow on that son of a bitch. Call it down.
One thing I find fascinating about the CoCo clones, like whether you're talking about Dragons or Kodamex or some of these other ones we've seen, the sample, a bunch of them, all of them used real professional style keyboards
Yeah.
except the CoCo.
Right.
That was the one place Tandy really cheaped out, and nobody else did. So,
why did Tandy do that?
Spoiler alert. Save
well, I
money.
mean, honestly, Tandy sold more than the rest of them combined, so maybe they were right. I don't know, but they did gradually improve the keyboard. I mean, the CoCo 3 keyboard's pretty good, but it's not this good, and it's not as good as the Dragons.
This is like a
or...
full stroke keyboard here. This looks like an Apple or an Atari or anything else for that matter. It's like a real keyboard.
Stroke keyboard. Stroke.
There's your power on LED, which is a nice little feature.
Nice feature.
Not a lot of the clones got. And there he's kind of going.
That's
through the back,
see where it says reverso in English. That means reverse. So that's how you would switch.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I wouldn't have had a clue.
Stevie Stroh, foreign language class.
That's how you reverse the video. So they have the VDG hack on a toggle switch there, huh? That's the reset key there. And that's that's the connector to your expansion. Yeah, your expansion connection there.
That one
and
looks close enough to French. Even
that
I
one
understood
says insert something.
Does that leave it up to user discretion?
Yeah,
what you're
insert
inserting?
something
I
here.
don't know.
Figure it out. You figure it out. Right?
And some guy put all these together with a screwdriver.
Yeah, and that one goes to canal 3. So if you have
Channel
more than
3.
one, if you have more than one canal, then this goes into your third canal. So
I bet that's channel 3.
Yeah, or it could be Mars. I'm not sure. They had canals there, didn't they?
Or it's the Panama Canal. What do I know?
One thing I find interesting though is the expansion slot's not a recessed slot like it is in the Dragon or the CoCo. It's actually one that sticks out that you plug your cartridge into.
It's not an innie, it's an outie.
Oh wow, you really know your Spanish well.
That way you can dislodge it easier and blow the CPU
Oh,
easier.
okay.
That's all.
There's your RS-232 and your joystick, and then what the hell is a grabador?
Printer.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah, as in engrave.
Engrave. Ah, there we go. Thank you. So somebody knows something here. RS-232C. That means yes in Spanish. C. Do you have RS-232? C. We do. C.
Oh, thank God.
Now, joystick dur and ISO, is that somehow mean left and right?
Yeah.
Dur.
And this
What's
is
the-
between diesel and unleaded? Is that what's going on there?
One
Who needs Google Translate when you got
So,
Stevie Stroh?
So there's your power supply switch there. That's pretty cool. All right. All right, I get a little tear down of the keyboard here. Okay.
Oh, that's a
I like
beautiful
that.
keyboard.
That is. It's gorgeous.
I miss spherical keycaps so bad.
And
A little bit of bodge wiring stuff there. I'm assuming that must be a composite or something.
Could be,
I'm not
yeah.
sure what that is. But maybe it's because the chips are the same as we're
yeah,
used to.
it looks like very similar to a CoCo motherboard.
But not identical. They didn't actually clone the motherboard like literally clone it like.
I love the cartridge connector on the board, and then
It goes to the goes to a ribbon cable out to the back to that
yeah
right
stick something here slot. So pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice looking machine.
And pretty well designed.
Now the boot up ROM was a bit different because it actually had that little color thing that kind of duplicates what they have on the label there.
Basic E, 1983.
I'm assuming the E means extended basic.
Could be. Yeah.
Did it look like they had replaced the salt chip with multiple components?
I don't even know what that would look like. So
there was all kinds of resistors on the motherboard.
Oh yeah, it's like these were.
It looked like a CoCo 1 clone.
As opposed to a CoCo 2?
Yeah, because CoCo 1 had all the discrete components.
Like both based off of that Motorola design that
everybody
Tandy used without any Tandy specific parts in it. So no salt because that was a Tandy thing.
I do like the fact they did that little, ribbon of color
and
there.
The color burst looks a little bit different. I don't know if that's because it's not NTSC or something else, but yeah, those are not normal VDG colors we're used to seeing. That almost looks like a CoCo 3 in composite mode where everything's off a little bit,
Yeah. And then there was a little switch that they had that we didn't have.
That was the inverse video? Oh, that's just, okay.
Right. Now it looks kind of a bit odd, and you might be right on that.
Yeah.
Reasoning.
Take care, Frodo. Frodo has to go. See, we just lost a viewer thanks to your news, Curtis.
As long as he's getting a good, healthy nap, there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, I mean, it had a power on LED. It had the inverse video switch. It had a real keyboard. It actually had some pretty nice features.
That is cool. What about a real-time clock? Did it have a real-time clock?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's neat. And there's not a lot of wasted space inside that case, so pretty cool.
Yeah. And he seems to be doing a sequence of these because this is the second clone he's gone through. So I know there was a few more there.
Maybe we could get...
Brazil, as we've heard, did not have any real copyright laws to worry about.
Right. And maybe we can get somebody like Erico or Federico or something to translate for us just so we could know what fully the people are... Or maybe we can even ask him if he's bilingual, if he could give us the Americanized version of it.
Yeah, because I mean, we know a little bit of the history, and we've seen like they have their kind of CoCo gathering they've had a couple times too, like kind of their mini CoCo Fest down there too, and they have a lot of these machines out there. But I'd like to get a bit more of the history of their...
I just can't get over the amount of handwork in this. It's like a user repack.
Yeah, because everything's screwed in. All your DIN connectors are screwed in,
and ribbons soldered down, and geez.
Yeah, but it's well built though. It's there's a lot of quality assembly going on there. So
it does remind me like the old AT case projects everybody was doing back in the 90s. Though you're right.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. A cousin of the CoCo.
One of many. So this one, Fabian just posted this up this morning, actually, and he's the one who's been kind of taking over CoCoPedia and trying to get it caught up.
Right.
So he posted a question about possibly doing a short online workshop of about an hour on how to create, update, etc. CoCoPedia content, because he wants to kind of do the same idea that Stevie's mentioned before, too, of people can update their own company profiles or their own software profiles.
That's neat. Yeah.
So he's thinking about doing a video to kind of teach people how to do the CoCoPedia thing, and he was wanting some feedback of that on Facebook in the CoCo group.
Okay.
So if any of you are interested in doing that, please give him some feedback so he knows.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Now we get to some sadder news here. So a couple of passings to talk about this week. The first one here is Lou Ottens. Which is he's from the Netherlands, and he worked for Philips. Actually worked at the Belgian Hasselt branch of Philips. And Philips, of course, did the CDI stuff too. Another, subtly CoCo related thing. So he passed away at the age of 93 here, but he was the guy that invented the cassette tape that we got to know on all the, home computers, and also for audio cassettes, etc. So he passed away, lived to the ripe old age of 93, so that's good. But he was also, and I didn't know this until I read the full article, he was also part of the team that actually invented the CD, the successor to the cassette.
Oh, wow.
So he was in a lot of the storage and a lot of the audio stuff there.
Now, am I the only person who remembers when CDs first came out, everybody was like, oh, CDs are going to be so great because there's no needle and they won't get scratched. Has anybody ever had a CD that did not get scratched? I mean, show of hands who had a CD that never got scratched.
Yeah, there's no physical object touching. It's just a beam of light going through. Just stay pristine. And yeah.
Yeah, that didn't last long.
The funny thing is, I stuck with cassette for the first couple of years of CD because CDs were so damn expensive.
I know, yeah.
Double to triple the price of getting the exact same album.
Yeah,
so.
The players were expensive, and the actual cassettes, the CDs themselves were expensive. But yeah.
Yeah. Over 100 billion cassettes were sold since its launch in 1963.
Wow. That's impressive.
And it said, but the bands disappeared after the release of the CD, which was developed 20 years later by the same Ottens together with a team of engineers, and the CD also became a hit. So he was on both on the front line.
Neat.
So
two
sad
out
that
of
he's
three.
passed away, but definitely a life well lived. And then the second one here is that Mike Knutson, the author of Ultimuse III for both the MM1 and the CoCo, and I think he did a Linux port at one point, and then Bill Pierce actually got, like when Mike quit developing it, actually he got the source code. So Bill Pierce has been actually keeping Ultimuse updated, and then his whole M shell system is based on the code that Mike had done to do Ultimuse III. So he just passed away literally on his birthday, which is sad. And we'll get into a little bit here with Brian Schubring and some others here that actually use the Ultimuse III quite a bit. And this is his obituary. I'm going to probably leave a comment here. I mean, I don't know the family at all, but I had met Mike a few times. I wouldn't say we were great friends or anything, but we did chat occasionally at Rainbow Fest and CoCo Fest. And I did buy Ultimuse III from him when it was being sold through, was it Second City Software, I think? Brian, you might be able to correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but we'll leave something just to let them know from the computers, CoCo side of things, that a lot of us are thinking of him.
No picture?
No, they don't seem to have one on the site. I remember he has his little thin beard and stuff like that, but
this is a sign of the times. You can join the funeral service by a Zoom meeting. That is, and there's the passcode is there too. So I mean, hopefully they're not going to get any Zoom bombers on this. But yeah, that is a sign of the times now, where because of COVID and everything else, we're virtually attending services. Yeah. So, but rest in peace, Mr. Knudsen, and thank you for your contributions. Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, and with this, I'll stop sharing. And Brian Schubring, if you can bring up Ultimuse III, for those that don't know what it is, just to show what his his pride and joy program on the CoCo 3 was.
No
and
pressure.
It was actually the MIDI entry program. And we've got some other ones like CoCo MIDI Pro that do like live recordings and stuff, but this is for entering sheet music.
And he's doing this by a command prompt. He doesn't need that sissy pants ease of use thing.
Though you can do it either way, of course, because
right.
that OS is
y'all can hear me. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you, Brian. Yes.
Okay.
Copyright 1989, 96. Michael J.
The welcome screen for Ultimuse and that.
Driver edition with enhancements and mods by Bill Pierce.
Yeah, this is the latest version that Bill Pierce had released. I think last year or so.
Yeah.
So
he's had a few releases actually, because Mike kind of got out of it about a decade ago, I think.
And let's just
Disney, you're picking the most hard hit copyright strikers on the planet. Good job.
Yeah, well, what I had.
Mind you, if you just show the score, I mean that's mainly the thing that Ultimuse was. It wasn't just the player.
That's really cool. Whole new world.
Yeah, this is the one that I moused in myself from actually a good version of the piano score, and then I watched the movie probably just this one section for the song about 3,000 times just to get the nuances and stuff in, because I broke it all apart to get different pieces in. I moused it all in, and I can do another.
Yeah, if you want to play a few bars of this, that's fine. I'm not worried about the evil Disney Corporation at this point.
Tell me if it's coming through.
Uh-huh.
Is it?
Not yet. A whole new world. Like how you have all your notes down there. Very graphical, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ultimuse supported up to 16 tracks at once and had a percussion clef and treble clefs and bass clefs. Actually, I think it had 4 different clefs all told. So you could actually program the drums on its own separate clef and switch instruments between as you were jumping around, so you could use more than 16 instruments in a piece.
Yeah. Is the music coming through at all or no?
No, Brian. No music.
Interesting. It should have.
But yeah, visually this is very nice. So this is not even in the super high res. Or is this 80 color mode? Is this 640?
Yeah, this is 640.
Oh, okay. Okay.
642 color, if I remember.
Are you using a Switch-A-Roo?
Yeah.
And it's not fuzzy at all. Look at that. Okay, I hear it faint in the distance, but I think it's being picked up by your microphone.
No.
I just heard there.
Unbelievable. And if you've never been to CoCo Fest, this would be in rotation at CoCo Fest.
Yeah.
As well as the country anthems at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. All done in the CoCo.
And a lot of those moused in with Ultimate.
Yeah.
Well, I better kill that before we get dinged.
Ding, ding, ding. We're being pulled off the air.
And you can scroll through the music score.
Bolt of lightning has just struck my house.
Just use the keyboard. And here, and
the whole new world.
And this is a pretty. You can do all sorts of controlling tempo, the volume. You can actually do a gradient volume where it swells, then goes back down just by using the music notation that's built into it. It's a really, really powerful piece of software.
Yeah. The nice thing was, too, it didn't require much hardware for you to mouse something in and then play it. You could just literally get a cable from the bitbanger, plug it into your synth, and away you go.
You could do that, yep. Or use the MIDI pack, which I've got a couple.
The MIDI pack's better because it doesn't tax the CPU as much. You can multitask way better.
So much, yeah. It's definitely so much better. And it's definitely better than trying to go through, in a lot of cases, if it's a real busy piece, if you're trying to do it through DriveWire, it works. But it does tax the data stream from the computer through DriveWire, and that you do tend to get some real slow pieces if it gets real busy.
Yeah.
At least that's
so if
what
you
I
want to
found.
use this like in a professional setting, you definitely would want one of the MIDI packs. But if you just wanted to fiddle with MIDI and you got a MIDI synth like a cheap Casio somewhere, all you had to do is just make a cable for like $5-10 and this software and away you went.
Yeah, exactly. And everybody can see where my stack is over here.
Yeah.
Of equipment. Then, of course, I've got...
if I'm not mistaken, I think that stack's about to overflow there, Brian.
Then, of course, my CoCo up over here and stuff all over the place. Wires, gizmos, gadgets.
All the above.
So, yeah, all the above. Yeah. It's my mad scientist room down here.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah. Anyway, a big thank you to Mike Knutson for doing Ultimuse and being a supporter of the CoCo and OS9 communities and the MIDI community.
Yeah,
he came up with MIDI converter software. He did all kinds of stuff back in the day. So.
Right. So for those of us who are into more of the gaming and the entertainment side, there's a lot of games we could say that made us proud to be CoCo owners because these games showed off what the CoCo was capable of. But on the slightly more serious side, being able to do something like musical composition, that is something to make you proud too, right? What the CoCo was capable of doing, and this is definitely a product that would definitely be described as doing that. Showing off the power of the CoCo, making you proud to own a CoCo. Right?
Out of all the third-party programs that I would consider commercial grade for OS9 back in the day, that weren't from Tandy, Tandy had quite a few of them, obviously. I would rank this one and MV Canvas as the top two. Like those are ones that you would put up against anything else at the time. So
because other than that, it took like an Atari ST, which was a 16-bit system, at 4 times the cost to be able to do MIDI with the proper timing and everything else around that time.
And I do know bands back in the late 80s, early 90s that actually took this around. They took a synth, they took their CoCo 3, they set it up, they ran it, and it played the drums or whatever for a 1 or 2 piece band.
The guys from Lambda Lambda, the Tri-Lambs
Bill Pierce is the one who did that. Yeah,
Tri-Lambs from Revenge of the Nerds did that. So.
They just showed the
audio spectrum analyzer. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah,
and the biggest accolade I've heard lately, actually, we showed this to Boat a few weeks ago here, and he's a music teacher. That's his job in school, and he was actually quite impressed that the CoCo 3 was performing MIDI stuff at this level, and how well the actual interface, the software interface, was for it as well. So that's a plug from somebody who actually knows what he's talking about, unlike me.
Jason Reichard's asking to join. Should we admit him? I don't know. Put it to a vote. All in favor? Okay. All right. Is that all the news, Curtis?
I believe it is.
All right.
Yep, that is it.
So we're going to take a brief break. We'll be back with project updates and acquisitions, and we'll be talking about a project from Eric Canales, a development environment for the color computer that he's working on, and I think HenryNoNick might be chiming in on that. That's the development side. I'll show a little quick something I threw there. I wanted to have more time. I just got muted. How the hell did I?
Stevie's audio.
Yeah, Stevie's audio.
I just got muted somehow. It said the host was muted. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to show some stuff off after the break, and we'll talk about project. Brian Weasel's not here, so these acquisitions probably won't take 9 hours this time. So, all right, so we're going to share screen, share audio. We're going to go to a commercial break. And let's see here. You know what? How about I still got my shortwave? We'll be right back after shortwave, folks.
We will return after these messages.
CoCoTALK is brought to you in part by Placeblex Dietary Supplement. Placeblex. We think it works. So will you.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
Oh, I remember that Christmas. Dad gave me my first shortwave radio from Radio Shack. What memories. This Christmas, we got our son's Color Computer 3 from Radio Shack. It hooks right up to our TV and was on sale for less than $130. The Color Computer 3 makes learning fun. Jimmy even lets me use it for word process when he isn't playing computer games. Lucky I still got my shortwave.
Save $70 on the sale-priced Color Computer 3, only at Radio Shack.
Hey, this is Bruce Moore, author of Force of Doom, and you're watching The Original Gamer's Stevie Stroke.
Only the bravest souls enter. Only the most cunning return. Defeat innumerable monsters to ransom the king's scepter, stolen by the evil wizard. Your sword, shield, and wits are your only allies. Pray you find a magical inn as your only respite in the forest of doom.
For the tiny color computer 1, 2, and 3.
November 2017, if you dare.
This is Ken Reichert, author of Nightmare Highway.
Nightmare Highway.
And you're experiencing CoCoTALK?
Just when you thought it was safe to go back to CoCo Fest.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
CoCo Fest Edition? Still low resolution, still digital to analog converted sound. More machine language. And basic.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Now includes the power of Terry to clear the road ahead.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Available as a DVD-ROM with all my past games as an alleged bonus, including my unreleased 4th Rainbow Adventure Contest entry. Unreleased for a reason.
Nightmare Highway. Nightmare Highway.
Get your physical or digital copy at cancanmakeit.com. Now you've really paid too much.
Nick marionettes on electricity.
Crikey! Electricity's a fad. The biggest market is with open flame.
Brought to you by Nitrous 9, Ease of Use Edition. Hashtag OS9 Forever.
And that was it. So we decided to title today's show Superior Programming because we're going to show you definitely a way
I have a question
where
first.
we can do that. And Ron Delvaux has a question, everybody. Ron Delvaux, what is your question?
You know, you said superior programming. Now, in our production of this CoCoTALK show, do you think we could get a better copy of Radio Shack commercials that aren't so fuzzy?
That would be great, but I don't know any. So
aren't they out there anywhere?
The truth is out there, but I'm not sure if better fidelity commercials are out there because they were, probably taken off of people who had them on a cassette tape, so we had a low fidelity master.
VHS.
So, yeah.
You'd have to try to find the masters.
VHS was only 225 lines of resolution.
So
VHS was crap.
It's a great question.
They are horrible.
Yeah, well, they're the best that we can get considering what's out there on the internet. So Why don't you, Ron Delvaux, make this your personal crusade to find us, the high-definition masters?
It's probably because they're TV quality.
Yeah, TV. Yeah. So people have taken VHS copies and then digitized those, analog to digital stuff. But yeah,
recorded off air.
They could be better, but they would mean we'd have to go back to somebody who had a good, clean master tape and do a good high-definition scan of that. So if somebody has those somewhere, then we should definitely do that. But I had to scrape the internet for what I could find.
Besides, we're a retro show, kind of.
Yeah,
fits.
so it's a retro. True. No, good
so
question.
Why don't we make our show real fuzzy, like you were in the beginning when you first had your background on?
Well, our facts are still fuzzy, so that's
what I have lunch with.
Yeah, really. All right, asparagus on that now at this point. Okay, so we are now up to updates and acquisitions. So we'll probably save Henry and Eric for the end. So did anybody else acquire anything this week that they want to show off? Okay, so Brian, the music man, is waving his hand in the air. Brian?
Yes, I am.
What?
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
All right. Well, let me get to this. Has been replaced finally. I no longer have to use a solder sucker.
Okay, that's Curtis's curling iron, right?
Yes.
I'm not going to show the unit because I got it installed already on my bench and that, but I picked up.
You posted this on Facebook, I think, right? So you have a
Exactly.
variable temperature.
I picked up one of these, so I can now solder and unsolder, hopefully flawlessly.
Okay.
I've already tested it; and it works out good.
Is that even possible? I don't understand the concept.
So are you doing
flawless soldering?
Are you doing 6309 upgrades then?
No comment. I have done them in the past, but now I can get back into pull out my repack of my CoCo from way back when. You remember that, Curtis?
Yep.
And I can get back into that, and then I can figure out what the heck is wrong with it, why it doesn't want to boot up. So.
Okay.
Yeah, those things are beautiful. Good luck.
Well, I had the full SCSI system and everything in the thing, all in just one nice PC case. Yep. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah. It's got a desolderer. Who else has got something they want to show this week or talk about?
I have one update. It's not CoCo related, but
so Mikey, first off, how was the news this week? Is everything you wanted and more?
Oh, I had a great time dusting, mopping, not paying any attention,
exploring your inner eyelid.
So I haven't been on in probably over a month, but the last 2 weeks I have had lots of computer problems. I had 2 computers that have fallen prey to, this is a MacBook Pro, and let me see if I can show you these wonderful pillows of death.
Oh yeah, that's the bloating battery syndrome.
Poofy bats.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was my personal machine.
Yeah.
Which was bit with this, and then my work machine was bit with it, and it has completely thrown my world, computer world, upside down over here.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why in the last 2 weeks I really haven't been able to do any programming, blogging, anything.
Okay.
I mean, I have computers I can use, but when your main machine goes down, it sort of like throws you all upside down. So hopefully I can recover from this and get back into playing with Nitrous 9 stuff, get back into Pi Drive Wire, all those kinds of things.
MC.
We'll see in the next couple weeks.
Maybe some RS-232 and some TTL and some drive wire. Okay.
Well, can't you just unplug the battery and use the cord?
No.
And being a Mac, the official repairers replace the case top, keyboard, battery, touchpad.
Right.
And everything in between.
Which is what they did on my work machine. I was talking to the technician and I'm like, oh, you're going to replace the lid and the keyboard and all that stuff. He's like, yep. But, this machine here is just, I converted it to, so it absolutely does not run without the battery. Of course, I can plug the power in, but it boots and then it crashes. So I've converted this machine into a virtual machine and, anyway.
Yeah, there's like 17 power buses on that thing, so everything has to be perfect or it won't boot.
All right. Well, that's my non-CoCo update.
Okay,
I've last 2 or 3 weeks been stuck in this loop with all the computers going down one after another.
Neat. Thank you for sharing. I had to do that to my Dell not too long ago. Now, my Dell was not that unibody aluminum case, so it was plastic. And when the battery bloated, it actually popped the bottom plastic panel off of the Dell laptop by doing that. So that was my little indicator that the airbag had deployed, So
yeah, these machines, when they don't rest correctly on the table, they rest pretty nicely on the feet. When it feels a little wobbly and my table is pretty square, it's like, uh-oh.
Right. Right. All right. Anyone else have an update or acquisition they would like to share with us? Anyone? Bueller? Going once? Going twice? No? 3 times a lady? Okay. So on that note, I'm not sure who wants to go first. Maybe Eric, do you want to talk about your development environment that you're working on, and then we can do some show and tell as you're talking about it?
Sure, I can go first.
Okay.
So off and on, I've been working on this editor.
Nice haircut, by the way. You're looking very stylish.
Dapper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been working on this project off and on for a few months, maybe even years now, and it's kind of getting to the point where we can start using it for everyday use. I've been using it for my personal use, but let me see if I can share the screen.
I'll stop sharing just in case. And we should also point out that some of us are aware you've been talking about this, but you actually showed this off on last month's Glenside meeting when we started doing the hour of demos before the meeting, which was a great idea. So we got to see this in a demo at the Glenside meeting last month. Okay. Ooh, look at this. That looks like assembly language.
Can you guys still see it?
Yeah, I see the FCBs in there.
Great. So, this is assembly. It can also do basic, color coded. It's got a console here, but it automatically runs MAME for you and compiles it. It runs it with the debugger, loads it for you.
And so we don't see MAME coming up yet. That might need to be dragged into a screen. I'm not sure if you're sharing just an app or if you're sharing an entire screen. So far we just see the source code still.
Yeah, let's try sharing the whole screen here.
A whole new world.
Oh, it's a whole new screen.
A whole new screen. You might have to stop and restart sharing because you're still sharing the one thing.
I'm not sure how to stop.
All right, I'll stop it for you. Okay,
no button.
I've stopped your sharing.
All right, so now you're seeing...
Okay, now we see the Stargate. Okay, now I see the editor.
Someone else.
Right, there's the source code.
You guys out of the way. All right, so we're gonna run it. I can press compile and run. It compiles it in LWASM, runs it in MAME.
And it brings up the debugger.
The debugger for me.
And it does a load M and an exec.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Okay, and so you loaded the screen with a bunch of data.
Yeah.
All I know is it's pretty. I wear that as a shirt.
It's got tons of options. You get full theming capability, including a CoCo theme,
which I like.
Yeah. Full LWASM support, so you don't have to mess with any command line. Well, maybe if you want that. It uses image tools to build the disk for you, which runs automatically after the compiler runs it. Throws it into MAME. You can select whatever MAME options you want. 1 screen, 2 screens for the CoCo 3. You can choose any computer system here on the list, or just find your own ROM to run. And then there's more options: floppies, ROM,
Orchestra 90, floppy disk.
Orc 90. All this stuff.
Orchestra 90. Now, do you have an 8-slot MPI we could put on this by any chance? Or?
Well, I don't think MAME supports an 8-slot MPI.
David Ladd would like that.
So if you want that supported, you got to talk to the MAME guys. You can change the auto boot command, so you can
that's like the post load in the
So if you're editing a basic program, you could just take
which is I'll show mine and when he's done. So I've set mine up to run basic just as a kind of show that it worked type thing.
And there's a lot more features coming. I plan to have little pop-ups, telling you about the FCB command when you're over here. Maybe down in the status bar, it'll tell you like what the parameters are and that sort of thing. So it's just to help you, program. And I found some of the other IDEs a lot more complicated to use. I like to program, hit F5, and just have it run. So that's what I built.
So this is kind of like an editor, assembler, emulator, all in one.
Yeah, it's an integrated development environment. So everything's integrated. It automatically installs it for you too. So if you get this out of the box, it doesn't ship with MAME and LW tools. You got to install those. So I built little wizards to help you install it and configure it in a way that the IDE kind of likes. But it's
that'd be nice because a lot of people have been trying to just download MAME raw, and they're new to the CoCo, new to MAME type thing, and they're getting hopelessly lost trying to do this. Yeah, and this runs MAME, runs the installer, puts it where the editor kind of likes it, lets you do the ROMs next. So I'll show you that process.
Right. So it downloads MAME, and then it downloads all the CoCo ROMs from the archive. Right. So the nice thing I found about this is that where I have created some development environments and processes, but you had to go out of your way to get MAME installed and get MAME set up. And then you had to get the LW tools and the tool sheds, and you had to download all those and put those all together, which is not an impossible task, but there's a handful of things that you have to kind of get and assimilate in order to start developing. And so what Eric has done here is he's kind of made that barrier to entry a lot lower, because his tool will download all the tools you need for you and bring them all in. So it's very wizardy, point and clicky, nexty. If you're used to doing Windows type stuff, this gets you up and going with, you don't have to really know what's going on under the hood. It just does it for you. So you can just focus on writing code and testing it on an emulator, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's the idea. Just you run it and you're good to go.
Ease of use. I would
ease of use. Yes.
Yep. Ease of use.
Ease of the EOUIDE. There's your name right there.
That wouldn't be confusing at all.
No.
we expect licensing fees for that.
6dev09.
Yep, this is 6dev09. I came up with a website, so you can't buy it yet, but you can sign up for the newsletter. It's at playpi.net. So that's PLAYPI.net.
And we started a Discord channel for this, so if people have questions, they will get. Yeah, and so that was kind of I tried another IDE as well that I actually paid for, and it was not easy for me to figure out. I'm not saying it couldn't have been figured out, but I'm a kind of person who's very quick to throw his hands up in the air. So the minute things started to become a pain in the ass, I'm like, F it, I'm not using this POS, and I moved on, right? So what you've done is you've made this very Steve friendly, where I don't have to understand anything. I can just press a few buttons, be up and running, and go. So
yeah, and it's very simple. There's not a whole lot going on here. I do plan to add more as time goes by, so you can run your custom tools, maybe a little more clarity on configuration.
Go back to the emulation options for a second, and just as an example, under emulation. So that post, so the auto boot command there, which only has one option. So right now that is kind of hard coded to run an assembly based program. I would love to see this where you can have a few options and either drop down or just check the ones you want. So I could have stuff for assembling and basicing. Right. And so in the meantime, I think I'll put in 2 and just remark 1 out. But that would be a neat way to, as you know, just have that be a checkbox or a drop down to choose what you want your
absolutely.
posts.
And that's what this workflow does up here, and it's not quite complete yet, but eventually you'll be able to choose, basic, assembler.
Okay. So you have different workflow options.
Yeah, anything you want. So I'll probably hard code a few so that you can start somewhere, and then you can have as many as you want, 100 of these if you want, all for different projects you're working on or whatever.
Oh, so you can be working on different games and have different custom disk image names for each one and the whole 9 yards, right?
Yep, it changes every setting in here to whatever you've specified.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a different way of skinning the same cat. So I see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
No, but I unfortunately I've been so busy I haven't had time to play with it, and I wanted to do a little bit more of a robust proof of concept of just showing what you can do on the basic side of things. And whenever you're ready, I'll show you the same tool, just doing a basic program. But I enjoyed it, and the thing I do want to show off is your the thing where you can kind of create your own commands. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. Let's take a look at what you've got.
So let's just change this view here. Gallery view. Let me spotlight. I guess it kind of doesn't matter here. I'm just going to bring it over. Okay. So what I'm bringing over here is the tool. Okay. And oh shit, because of the way I have the thing set up. And okay. All right. So can you guys see the tool?
I don't see it.
I see nothing.
Oh, because I'm not sharing my screen to you guys.
That would help.
All right. So how the hell do I do that?
That's real careful. I didn't answer that question.
Yeah. So I need to share this screen. Okay. And let me go back to the dev tool. Let me find it. All right. Can you guys see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a real simple 2 or 3 lines of programs. But the thing that I like that he came up with is this define command. So with the define command, go ahead, Eric.
Well, just to explain it, it's a pre-compiler, so it'll compile it into BASIC. So go ahead, Stevie.
Yeah. So the way I looked at this is that the define command, I could use this one of 2 ways. I could use it to almost create my own syntax. So in this case here, I defined a command called noise, and I said noise equals, and then I created a play statement, right? So let's say I wanted to create whatever the play command was to make a laser sound or an explosion sound. I could say laser equals play, blah, blah, blah. Explosion equals play, blah, 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 blah. And then in my code, I could just say noise or laser or explosion as if it was like a command and just call that command. And then once it got post compiled down to the basic source code, it would be replaced with the actual play command, right? But for me to write my software, I could get into a pseudo English way of doing that. The other thing too is that this doesn't require you to have a line number for every line number, just your first line number. Everything else you don't have to number because those will get dynamically assigned as it's getting compiled. But I could also, if I wanted to create like a label heading, like if I had a routine that cleared the screen or did a get put or a pcopy, I could just say define, I'm just going to say spaceship. Define spaceship equals, and it was an underscore C line.
Yeah.
And then so this is going to dynamically pick whatever the current line number this is. And I could create a whole routine here that's called spaceship. And then end that with return, and then somewhere up here in my code, I could just say go sub spaceship and like calling a label, like we're more used to doing in modern languages, right? So, but in this case here, this program is not doing much. I'm printing Eric rules and I'm making noise and then I'm repeating, right? So, but I'm showing you an example of how I can define this noise statement here to play something. So as soon as was it this F5?
Yep.
Okay, and then of course I got to bring it over.
Well, I think we can see it.
Yeah, we see it.
Well, you guys can see it, but nobody else can because it's not on the screen that's going out to the stream. All right, so this is it here, right? And when you list it out now, see that line 11 and 12 weren't in on my source code. They got assigned, and that thing I defined as the command noise. That word noise got substituted with what I actually defined it to, right? So it's kind of a neat way to make your source code a little bit more high level and more kind of humanish. And then it just gets translated back down to normal deck B type stuff. So I thought that was
it's kind of a define or a macro.
Yeah, yeah. You can label things, you can macro things. But this is an interesting way to develop for assembly or basic. Because there's not a lot of quote unquote basic development environments. Most of the development environments are really geared to people who are assembling. So the fact that there's one for somebody who wants to write in BASIC and you don't want to have to limit yourself to the 32 column screen and the edit command and all that nightmare of actually trying to hand code BASIC on a CoCo. I mean, we did it when we had to back in the day and we were happy. But I mean, who wants to do that shit on purpose now, right? It's like, there's running water and there's electricity, there's plumbing, there's all these conveniences that we have now. So to intentionally crap in the woods when you don't have to me makes no sense, So I think this is neat. I know I'm not really doing it justice, but I will be using this more often. And from what Eric was telling me, this is not even tokenizing anything, right? So I could see you using this to even write for the MC10 because it creates a file that's basically an ASCII-based file. So you could create a basic file. You could write out MC10 code in here, save it to your basic file, and then just copy that over either over your MC server if you want to do it that way, or copy it to your SD card if you want to do it over the MCX32. So another tool for writing code in that you could run on not only the CoCo but maybe other machines, because the files that get created are pretty easy to read by just about anything, right?
So Eric, do you have plans to extend this to running with Nitrous 9 too? If you wanted to actually have it boot up a Nitrous 9 image, and you can set it up now, that it automatically gets the time clock and all that stuff, so you don't have to type anything and it'll go straight to a shell prompt. And then you could fire up like the C compiler or fire Basic 9 or whatever and load things that way.
I don't see why you couldn't do that. Everything that's in the options, as long as you set it up for Nitrous 9, it should be fine. So if you wanted to provide an image, I could ship the image with the editor. Or,
just grab whatever the current ease of use is and feel free to distribute it. So
yeah, I could make a wizard for it. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. And I'm not sure how this is affecting the outside world, but I'm starting to get some drop frames and stuff like that. So I don't know how people watching the stream are going to be experiencing this, but the show will continue to go on and we'll just pray for the best. And it's looking like, we're still seeing things.
It's looking
on
okay
Twitch.
on Twitch right now. I'm just watching it live. So.
I'm getting some warnings on YouTube that it's not receiving enough video.
Is this the internet's way of calling asparagus on our show?
Yes, possibly. So
you had to say something about no frames being lost.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so that's hopefully more to come on that. Not only what Eric's going to be doing with it, but hopefully what when people get it in their hands, what they will start to do with it as well. It is currently only available for Windows, but it can be available for other platforms, right, Eric?
Yep. Mac and Linux are possible. It'll take a little bit of doing, so it won't come out right away, but that's the plan.
Do you have to use any type of different like libraries or coding techniques to use that on, like, say, Linux or Mac OS?
No, it's being developed in a language called Pure Basic, and it natively supports Linux and Mac. But there are a few Windows-only calls that I'm making, so I'm going to have to like port them over. Yeah.
Okay, probably like with the installers and such, right?
Well, the installers, I'll have to figure out that.
And like default paths to where home folders would be.
Yeah, the default paths should be okay. Things like copying, pasting are a little funny on Pure Basic, so I have to use Windows calls for that, and I'm going to have to figure out how that works on Linux. And then some of the way the widgets are displayed may not look right on Linux, so I'll have to test each window and make sure it displays.
Now, do you have access to Mac and Linux machines to test this on?
Well, Linux machines. I don't use Mac, so I'll have to figure that out as I go.
Well, I have an older Mac, so I could test it. And Curtis, I'm sure we have a lot of people here like Curtis and Mikey and stuff. So if you need somebody to test it on a Mac, we have people.
I was just going to say, Mikey can ship you a Mac. It's a little bit fatter than normal.
So yeah, I'm sure you can have some people out here who could help you, run test versions on different OSes.
Yeah, and once I got it working on Linux, I'm sure it'll just work out of the box on Mac. But I'll need some way to compile it on Mac, so I might enlist you guys.
Cool. And then Henry, was there some stuff you wanted to talk about on the development side of things?
No, not really. I was more interested in what Eric was doing on that, because looking at that IDE that's a very pretty IDE. As far as development goes, the only thing that I've really been doing is just setting up my Linux environment to do that and do everything command line. If that's something that interests people, I can talk about it.
Well, if anybody has any questions about that, that's similar like what Paul Fiscarelli did with Long Branch Never. He used Notepad++ as the editor and then created like an XML plugin for the syntax highlighting, and then that got passed over through LW Tools and stuff and LWASM, then it got passed over to MAME. So it was a couple of scripts that ran, but it was a fairly easy process, and his first video walked you through setting up that environment and that process. So I have used that. And I know probably more Linuxy people are probably used to doing a lot of things from the command line. You know, this editor launches that editor, and, you know, this script launches that script. But yeah, if you want to maybe just break down the pieces of it, like, you know, you start with your editor and then I run this through. I'm assuming you're still using something like LWASM or Disk Tools?
I'm actually using ASM 6809. Now I am using like the image tool chain from MAME.
Okay.
But LWASM I actually didn't get. That wasn't the first thing I saw, because the first emulator I saw was that I knew I could make run quickly was XRoar.
Right. Okay.
So wound up having to figure out MAME in order.
Can you like do a screen share, maybe to show us like the process, like go from source code to emulated?
Yeah, I can do that. Where did the but? Oh, come on. There's participants chat share screen. There's the button. You cannot share sharing screen.
Oh, okay. I will stop sharing screen. Sorry about that.
Okay, so let me click that again.
And so we should probably preface this the same way we say there's no wrong way to CoCo. There's no wrong way to develop. There's lots of ways, and everybody's got their way, but we're just presenting you with.
Okay, let me get some of this stuff out of the way. So probably like the first thing that I was doing, Control Q that, Control W that. I've got so many windows open right now. Wow. But yeah, this is obviously where I'm looking at the Color Computer Archive. That's the starting point for just about everything. But I wound up going to, I think I actually did an apt-get install. Now I'm running a Debian installation, or Debian-based installation. I'm actually Ubuntu. So I think I was able to apt-get install. Let's try sudoing that. Let's see. XRoar is actually in the distribution
That's
area.
awesome.
So I'm able to just sudo apt-get install XRoar, and it works pretty much out of the box. In getting XRoar in there, the biggest problem that I had was getting the ROMs to work. So GoTo is a little script that I've written, and I have a crazy path name for that. But what I wound up doing just to get the ROMs to work is I downloaded the ROMs and just
like basic 14, disk 11, extended basic 11.
Yeah, just put them right there in whatever I'm doing, and now I can just I go ahead and set this up. Now, if you're not familiar with the Linux terminal or with the Linux command line, what I did there was a Control R to do a reverse search, and I know that I started the command with no hub. So this will bring up XRoar, and it's got everything already set there. I don't need to. Oh no. Let me go ahead and, what was that? Yeah, this is a little matrix thing that I wrote, and let's see if it actually brings it up. Nope, it didn't. It broke. But yeah, it brings up back.
I like that little shaky effect too when you dragged it across the screen.
The funny thing is that's actually become, because the Linux desktop has had like wobbly windows available through one of the compositors for over a decade. And this has become a usability thing for me. It's like Windows looks weird when I use it because the windows don't wobble.
Right.
So
it's like an inertia effect.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, so in doing that, once I've got that, let me go to.
So what are you using for your editor?
I am using with the Kate Advanced Text Editor, or also known as Kate.
Okay.
So
does it offer syntax highlighting?
Yes, it does. And I actually went through and rewrote the syntax highlighting for that. I do know.
And there's a lot of plugins for different ones, like Notepad++, and Atom, ATOM, I think is another one that offers that.
Yep. And Kate is my favorite text editor by far.
Mine is the Karen from Facebook text editor.
Yeah, true. Where did it go? Matrix 6809. Tab completion is a joy of my life. So yeah, so I've got full syntax highlighting, from pulling things up. I can have, and with Kate there, I also have a terminal window down here. So if I do need to go ahead and assemble something,
nice.
Yeah,
yeah,
I can go ahead and.
Nice.
You're one of those literally Linux savvy type people.
Yeah, and I mean, I grew up on a CoCo. and you're probably hearing my machine gun typing.
Yeah, are you doing a 2-finger typing too? Or?
No, it's full 4 fingers. But here's the thing: the reason that my typing is so hard is because I learned to type
on the
CoCo 1 original chiclet.
Oh. You had to beat some sense into the keyboard.
Yeah. So
good thing you didn't have Atari 400. You have to use a hammer and a chisel.
Oh my God! Tell me about it.
Timex 1000, man, that's the worst.
Yeah, that one's pretty bad.
So Karen, who's the author of XROR, says for him it's Vim forever.
Vim.
Oh yeah. Now there's
Vim.
a lot of folks. There's a lot of folks who swear by Vim, and I can't say that I blame them for swearing by Vim. There are those who swear by it.
Or swearing at it. Oh, sorry, go
ahead. Trust me, I've sworn at it. But yeah, there's the different text editors that are available for it. I like Kate because it's very, very flexible. I mean, you saw where I had 2 editing windows open at the same time. I can make that as many as I want.
VI, we're getting Nick Marotta saying VI.
Yeah, and hey, okay, so all I got to say is Space Cadet keyboard and Emacs.
Emacs.
Does Kate mean a KDE-based program where you need
it is a KDE-based program. Yep. It's a KDE.
KDE Advanced Text Editor.
Yep.
It's a windowing. KDE is a windowing system, and the libraries behind it and so forth. So you can only run Kate if you have KDE, or if you're willing to load KDE on top of whatever else you're running.
Well, so you don't have to load the operating environment. You just have to load the library dependencies. And so having those there, it's not that big of a deal. It clashes with GNOME, but my operating environment.
Who knew that would happen?
The what?
Well, my laptop's so crappy. I run XFCE, so
XFCE is my base desktop because I'm running what I'm running here is Ubuntu Studio 18.04. That's XFCE.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, my broker is EF Hutton.
I have one more thing to add to editor talk.
Okay.
Maybe you guys know that. And this is CoCo related. TS Edit is actually VI for the CoCo.
Okay.
Or pretty darn close to it.
Oh,
yeah, it is pretty
that
close.
A peach.
Well, listen, I remember using Edlin and DOS. I remember using that.
Oh, God.
So I never did.
Edit in OS 9.
Yeah. Okay. So no news is good news, right? So. Oh. Yeah.
I've heard it pronounced GNOME. I've heard it pronounced GNOME. When it comes to all the GNU Foundation
the GNU
stuff,
Foundation
it's like,
that makes
do you
GNOME.
pronounce the G or do you not?
It's like GIF and GIF.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, so you're using that editor, and then you're just running a script to take your ASM code and getting that built over to pop up on the emulator.
Yeah. So it's not even that I'm using a script. It's that let me get that back open again. I closed it. But like if I CoCo Hackery, I'm literally using the command line.
Right.
Where are you? You're not there.
Type a little bit slower because your computer can't keep up.
I'm using it.
I forgot my directory structure. Okay, ASM test, SPRNG. Okay, so like if I'm doing the little matrix thing, it's ASM 6809. It's not even a script to compile it. It's literally, I'm using the .6809 extension to show
for your source code.
For my source code. And then make a CoCo binary as compared to making a raw binary. So that's going to do an RS-DOS binary. Listing file is going to be matrix.lst, and then my output file is going to be matrix stuff.bin. Okay, and then
you just XROR that.
Yep. And that opens that up. And then on XROR, I can just do a Control L
to load
and matrix stuff.bin.
I love the wiggle effect. And there's your matrix keyboard. Yeah. So that's cool. So, I mean, you created this whole environment for yourself, so obviously you know what the hell you're doing. Matter of fact, this is probably one of the most secure ways to do it, because nobody else could walk into this computer and have a freaking clue on what to do or how to do it. But that just goes to show, anybody can make the way they want to edit and
you can personalize it to your heart's content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's really cool. And that is definitely a very highly sophisticated way of doing it. And I think that a nice compromise between that would be the Long Branch Never way of doing things. And I know Rick Adams has one that he does. And there are some people who are, what they're doing is they're developing on the Raspberry Pi that's already running DriveWire, and they'll run their editor on the Pi, which is what Rick Adams does, and then he runs the thing to make the binary, which then creates a DriveWire disk that's already mounted on a real CoCo, and then he runs it on the CoCo. So he'll do his editing and assembling and making on the Pi, which is a Linux, and then push it over to a virtual disk via DriveWire, which is being hosted on the Pi, and running it on real hardware. So you can edit to hardware, edit to an emulator, a lot of different ways to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. I am not tech savvy. I'm not a CLI kind of guy. I have no shame in admitting that. I respect the people who have that power and do that. I know how to do it. There's a lot of things that I know how to do and I could do, but I just don't, because that's me. I'm a lazy SOB. So if I don't have to, then I'm not going to, right? So that's just me. But I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm right or anything else. It's preference. And so I'm a big fan of less is more when it comes to the amount of steps I need to take to get something done. And so I like what Eric is doing now in this area, but I've done some hybrids. I've done the other one where I had to run Notepad++ and then, run a few scripts, and I was able to cut, because I still remember batch files from the days of DOS. I can work a script. I can do that, and I will, but I won't do it all the time, and I won't do it on purpose unless I have to. Because that's just me,
Yeah,
so.
That's also why I'm looking forward to when Eric can go ahead and do a release on Linux, because I really want to try this and see how well it works, see what kind of usability things I run into.
Yeah. And, I wrote it because I didn't want to write scripts. And if I was going to write a script, I might as well write an editor. So that's what I did.
There you go.
But isn't that interesting that, like George Lucas is a good example of this. He needed to get things done, so he created things that didn't exist to help him create something else. So he created how to edit, and he created visual effects companies, and he created all the different modules he needed to do his project, And so I think that's what people do in hardware and software and stuff too. You create libraries, you create tools, you create things. You got to create a thing to be able to create the other thing that you want to make, right? So I don't think that's an uncommon theme there. So your process.
You get old-fashioned traditionalists like me and Nick Marotta. We got to do it on the original hardware with the original software editors we had.
Yeah.
No 6309.
Yeah. And my dad got out a pickaxe, and I chopped up the silicone and ground it into chips myself. So,
Curtis, when is the EdTasm release of Nitrous 9 coming?
EdTasm. What is that?
EDTASM.
We have ASM, we have RMA. We don't need no stinking Ed Tasm.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I like what Eric's doing, and listen, different folks are different strokes. There might be some people that say, yeah, I like what Eric's doing, but that's going to be an assault on my manhood, and I am not going to do it because, damn it, I know how to keyboard, and I'm going to keyboard. Damn it, you're not going to change me, and that's fine. There's no wrong way to develop. There's no wrong way to CoCo, but it's nice to have options, right?
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, I use a mixed environment too. I use Notepad++ on larger projects, and then the other stuff that's smaller, I'll just do it right on the CoCo itself because it's quicker than going back and forth. I just do it.
Funnily enough, it's actually easier for me to code in BASIC on the CoCo than it is for me to do it in a hybrid environment.
I just find now dealing with that 32:16 screen. Now, I guess I could, if I'm a CoCo 3, I could do a, with 40 or with 80 or something. But still, having to deal with those screens and that edit command, just not a fan. It's like once you realize that there is something better and easier out there, I mean, to me, working smarter doesn't make you a wuss. You know what I mean? And so some people might not agree with that, but I'm a fan of working smarter, not harder. So.
Well, yeah, that's exactly one of my mottos. I just said this to some of my coworkers the other day. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, and working with computers kind of trains your brain to think efficiently and find efficient ways to do things. The longer you spend working in the digital world, the more you try to bring that out into the real world too. How can I optimize and minimize and efficientize what I'm doing here? And so that's kind of what I like to do.
Yeah, I do that every day. There, Steve.
Yeah.
Now, at work, I use the acronym, or not acronym, the saying. Efficient. Oh, darn, I can't even remember what I used.
Not a very efficient acronym, is it?
Okay, yeah, exactly. Efficient laziness.
Efficient laziness.
Efficient laziness. That's a good one.
Like exactly. That. There's another way of saying it, but that's what I do at work. I all the toolkits and stuff I build at work for the tax practice that I'm in. It does all the work for me. I don't do the work. The toolkits do.
Right. So. Yeah, it's like Frederick saying now on Facebook. I like dot matrix printers, but I'll never use them again because modern printers are better. So
I don't know. I kind of want to get myself a line printer 7 because again, that's what I had as a kid.
Yeah. Right. So
I've got ribbons.
There was something else that I was thinking about, and
was a TP10 emulator that just came out as well.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are so many ways to do things. I don't like to use the word right, wrong, best, worst because it's all
relative to the person.
It's all relative to the person, and what they like, or if somebody let's say somebody's. I'm not this whole ease of use makes you a pansy mentality because let's say they used a CoCo back in the day and they like typing in BASIC. So, okay, well, there's a lot of different ways you could create a basic development environment, and there's some complicated ways and there's an easy way. And if you just want to code, then here's an option that is fairly easy to set up and let you start coding and running it in an emulator. So that doesn't mean you're any more or less of a CoCo enthusiast. It's just the choice you made that got you up and running the least amount of trouble. There's lots of different emulators to choose, and a lot of people are going to choose VCC because you double click it and it works, right? You don't have to install ROMs. You don't have to do this. It doesn't mean that that's a better or worse emulator than other emulators. The fact that some things require a few steps doesn't mean that they suck. Is this one harder to use or more difficult to set up? It's all relative. But yeah, some of the things we had to do back in the day, we had to do things the hard way because that was the only way, right? But now that we're in the 21st century, there's lots of hybrid ways to do things, and you're going to end up gravitating to the one that's sometimes just like some people. Hey, I love the keyboard. I love doing this stuff, and yeah, I could do. Some people will be the opposite of me. I could do a GUI, but I like doing the CLI. I like doing the autocomplete. I like doing this, and that's fine. And that's because that's your preference. And you go ahead and you do that, and you develop that way. And I'm the opposite of that, where I could do that, but I would prefer to double click. So somewhere in the middle lies what people are going to do that's the best for them on how it's good.
In my case, like a lot of the development tools I use, which are natively on the CoCo, particularly the Nitrous 9 ones, is because it's muscle memory. I mean, I did that for so long.
Right.
Even after being away 15 years, I came back. It was just like, bang, I had everything right back. I remembered all the little hidden tricks and commands and stuff.
Right.
Whereas if I have to start an entirely new environment, I have to totally learn from scratch.
Right.
I could be spending that time coding.
Right. And that's like some people ask me, hey, have you ever tried a basic compiler? I'm like, I don't know, because now I have to figure out how to do basic differently. And if I'm going to do that, I still need to learn assembly. So why am I going to waste my time now learning how to write basic for this compiler when I really should be moving over to learning assembly anyway? So I just kind of didn't want to learn a whole new way to basic, with a basic compiler. So
does anyone share this? If I'm doing CoCo stuff, if I'm sitting in front of a physical CoCo, it's much easier for me to remember how to do it.
Yes.
And if I'm in front of an emulator.
That is true for me too.
Because of the muscle memory on the keyboard and stuff like that?
And there's the normal keyboard with the quote in the right place.
Right. The quotes on the shift 2 and the at sign and things are where
so suddenly I can remember how the display command works. And
Yeah, the muscle memory comes back because the keys are in the right spot. If you have to sit there and look at the keyboard and think about,
right, because then you
got remapped over here.
Then
you kind of forget, what was that syntax I was trying to use again?
In fact, I think I told Curtis once I fired a window without knowing how. I just typed it in and it came, W7 came up and it was good.
That's exactly what happened when I came back after the 15-year break from Nitrous 9. It was like old homie. I had to relearn a lot of stuff they changed in Nitrous 9 over the time. Don't get me wrong, that was a bit of a cliff to climb over, but a lot of the muscle memory came back.
What we need is a cartridge that will plug your CoCo into USB, and you can use your CoCo like a keyboard.
Interesting. Well, we do have Paul Fiscarelli has the CoCo keyboard to USB adapter, where if you have a spare CoCo keyboard, you can adapt that to become a USB keyboard to run on an emulator or a PC.
Or one of Ed Snyder's replacement keyboards.
Yeah. Or Raspberry Pi or whatever. So, cool. Yeah, good discussion. There's no wrong way to do your hobby, right? You're going to do it how you,
whatever works best for you.
Whatever works best for you, and then. I am not one who usually likes to jump too far outside of my comfort zones either. I like to, if this has been working, then it's going to stay working. And even though I'm a fan of working smarter, if I have to work a little bit at learning a smarter way to work, that still works. So I probably won't do that. So I'll just
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So eventually you get to that point where I know how to do what I need to do, and it works for me. So I'm going to keep doing it that way, right? So. But one of the things I love in talking to everybody, too, is that you have all these different perspectives on how to do things, and you glean little slices of stuff, and eventually you bring some of that into your own kind of mosaic and make your own little quilt the way you want it. And so I've definitely changed my way of doing things as I've been exposed to more things. So good stuff. Anything else we need to talk about, or do you think we put a good old fork in this one? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Well, then how about we'll run the outro and then we'll come back for final thoughts, just in case you think of something in the next 2 minutes. So I will share the screen so you guys can hear that, and we'll be back with final thoughts after these words, everybody. This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, click on the Patreon link on our website, CoCoTalk.live. CoCoTalk would not exist without the community, its cast, crew, and contributors. Thanks go to Alan Murphy, Bill Noble, Brian Joyce, Brian Weasler, Curtis Boyle, D. Bruce Moore, Danny O'Connor, David Ladd, Eric Canales, Grant Leedy, James Diffendaffer, Jason Reichert, Jim Brain, Ken Reichert, Mark Bosley, Mark Overholzer, Mikey Furman, Mr. Dave 6309, Nick Marentes, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Nick Marotta, Paul Fiscarelli, Richard Lorbieski, Rick Adams, Rick Hewlin, Rob Inman, Ron Delvaux, Samuel Gimes, Sloopy Malibu, Steve Bjork, Terry Steggy, Tom C., and many more. Please help support the CoCo community. A list of various contributors and resources are available at imacoconut.com. That's imacoconut.com. The original CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Sheeler. The new CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2020 by D. Bruce Moore. Both are mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. CoCo forever, people! A face that only a mother could love. Ooh. Well, good show today. And Frederick Provoncha also says, good discussion, guys. Thank you. Chris Korn says, run a series terminal emulator on the CoCo to a Linux PC so you can type on the CoCo keyboard. That's true. That's an option right there. Right?
Sounds like fun.
Yes. EOU is really good. Thanks, L. Curtis. That's from Chuck Allison. Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks.
So good show, guys. That was fun. Nice little discussions, impromptu discussions there. L. Curtis Boyle, any parting thoughts, things you want to share with your fans at home?
No, just develop whatever way works best for you for your developer. That's just because there's no wrong way, as you said.
Absolutely. And Henry, thanks for being here on your first show. You did extremely well for your first time out of the gate. Yeah. You, by the way, who invited Henry? I didn't know who to send the toaster to. Who was?
I think I found you somehow on Google.
Okay, well, I know you sent me a DM today about being on the show, but you've been on our Discord for a while.
Yeah, I can't remember where I found the link, but
okay.
I found the link somewhere.
Yeah, we're sorry.
Yeah, but thanks for being here.
By accident.
Thanks for being here, Henry, and feel free to join in the future.
Cool.
Eric Canales, thank you, and thanks for your development environment, which I hope to play with more. And I haven't done anything assembly-wise, but as I start to assemble now, I'll just be using your tool to assemble. So, because I have one. Yes.
Yeah, just let me know if you find any bugs.
Yeah, and Brian the Music Man Schubring, thank you for being here, and thanks for showing us off Ultimuse. Thanks.
Thank you. And I appreciate being here and all that, and meeting all with my CoCo buddies.
Absolutely. And anybody have any parting thoughts? Anything you want to impart before we go? Anyone? Mikey, thanks for being here.
CoCo Pie forever.
CoCo Pie forever. That's becoming my new favorite toy. I like hardware. I like what Rick Eulin's saying. His muscle memory works best on real hardware. But for me, since I mostly just play, I don't do a lot of work. I like playing on the CoCo Pie. It's just easy to kind of get up and running on that. Rick, thanks for being here.
Pleasure as always.
Mark B, thank you. Any parting thoughts for you?
Nope, they've parted.
Now, your cat's name is Motorola, right, Eric?
This one's Hitachi.
Oh, that's Hitachi. Yeah, Hitachi and Motorola. Okay. So, Jason, the Coco Man Reichert. It's a lovely Sarah with you.
Oh, she is.
Sarah.
Oh.
Sarah, make me a sandwich. Make me a sandwich. Nick Marotta.
We'll ship it.
We'll ship it. Nick Marotta, thank you for GameON, as always.
Thank you, and thanks again for all the participants this past week.
Yeah, good week on Zaxxon. Thank you, Alan Murphy, for being here. And last but not least, as always, a big old crikey Vegemite thank you to Nick Marentes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and Nick's a big star now.
Famed game author and
yes, he is a big star. And to everybody watching us, AC's 8-Bit Zone, and Kevin Holloway and Chris Korn, Paco Atakte, Kevin Holloway, Garrett Reynolds, and Chris Korn, and Frederick D. Provoncha, and Mr. Dave, and James Jones, and Sixie, and Chuck Allison is out there, and Nick Marotta, and Daddy Burrito, and Sixie, and Torsten, and Tom Eric Gunderson, and Rick Eulin, and all kinds of people watching us today. We appreciate you watching us each and every week. we want to say thank you, and we're sorry. Say goodbye, everybody.
We're sorry.
Bye, everybody.